Okay. Damn it. Okay, please let me know if you can hear me now. Hopefully you can. And then I'm just gonna do all of the stuff again. All of it. I'm gonna fix my chair. Let's see. Let's see. Can you hear me? Hopefully, one of these days, I'm gonna have a stream. Okay. One of these days, I'm gonna have a stream where I get the audio perfect the first time. It's not this weekend. It wasn't last weekend, but it might be next weekend. Anyway, I'm Gory B Movie, and this is Horror Hangout, where you and me and everybody else in the gory hole just hangs out and talks about horror movies. And I was thinking about something today when I woke up from my crypt. I was thinking, I ask you guys to ask me questions a lot, but I think for these horror hangouts, I'm going to come with at least one question prepared to ask all of you. So, absolutely let me know what you guys want to talk about and what your questions are. But, I have a little something prepared for all of you too. But let's check in with the chat, see who's hanging out with us. We've got Zachary Bird, we've got the High Ground Cantina, Mr. Flickster, my buddy Munster Cheese, me too, Elisa, Maverick Media, hey, Arkham Knight Rider, Kevin from Haunted by Horror, the Lion Queen. Ooh, that's even better than the Lion King. Zigma 51. And am I missing anybody? Oh, and Robin, Spooky Primo. All right, so we got lots of cool people here in the chat today. Mummy and I, what? Zigma, we need to have words. We need to have words after this chat. Nuts. Okay, I have to talk to my brother after this. Anyway, Zigma, let Mummy know that there's a stream so she'll hang out with me. So here is my plan for today. I was thinking, what do I want to know about? Hey, Martin. Yay, Martin's here. Oh, first and foremost, what we always do, what shirt am I wearing today? Because I have an awesome collection of shirts, and I just got a brand new Hex Girl shirt. Because I'm a Hex Girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you. It's so damn catchy. Speaking of the Hex Girls, have you guys seen the new Mystery Incorporated show that is on YouTube? They only have a pilot episode. They're looking for a distributor like Netflix or HBO Max or something. But in the meantime, you can watch the first episode for free. It's really high quality. It's basically kind of like a Riverdale. That's not the best example, but like a Chilling Adventures Sabrina take on Scooby-Doo. Like it's in modern times. The teenagers, they can swear. Shaggy actually is into drugs. He talks to Scooby, though Scooby doesn't really talk to him. Like Scooby's just a Great Dane. But yeah, it's kind of like a teen horror sort of CW style show of Scooby-Doo, which is kind of fun. And have Cheetah will view. Awesome. We got some great people in the chat today. Zigma, I believe the movie you just mentioned is the one that you told me to get Mummy for Mother's Day. So now I don't know if I have a movie, if I have a present for Mother's Day. Nuts, and I forgot something. Here's the thing about the new Scooby-Doo I really like, is the guy who came up with it, he loves Scooby-Doo because he grew up watching it with his mom. And my son and I have watched every iteration of Scooby-Doo, and that's been kind of our thing since he was a kid. So I like stuff that has a lot of passion behind it, that has a lot of innovation, and this show has the Hex Girls in it, so it's giving us something we haven't seen before, but it's made by people who have a genuine love of the series. It's pulling from all different Scooby-Doo iterations, like Shaggy's dad is a cop, which is from Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and Velma's mom runs an occult bookstore, which is from the Mystery Incorporated cartoon show. So they know they're Scooby. Also, we marked out hardcore because it had Harvey Birdman, attorney of law, in it. That was so cool. Best werewolf transformation? I do like the one in Wolf Cop just because it shows werewolf dong. But I really liked the werewolf transformation in Hemlock Grove just because I'd never seen a werewolf transformation where they ended up eating the human shed afterwards. It was pretty gross. Damn it. Well, brother, you told me to get it for her, and that's what I got, and now I don't have a present for her. Dang it. Oh, yeah. All right. Zigma51 in the mixed messages. Let's see. Yesterday was Joe Bob. What have you guys been watching this week? Yesterday on Joe Bob, I watched Black Sunday, which is a great 1960 movie. Barbara Steele, great black and white cinematography by Mario Bava. And I found out he made that movie when he was 47 years old. So that's a little reassuring when you sit down and you think that maybe you're too old to accomplish a lot of the things you want to do in life. Mario Bava was 47 when he started his film career. So that makes me feel a little bit better. The movie is fantastic. Great witch movie. And then they showed Death by Temptation, which about then is when Lols, my son, noped out on me because there was a lot of sex scenes. And, you just don't want to watch those with your mom. But I'd never seen that one before. That was pretty fun. And then me and Munster Cheese, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, we watched Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, which is super fun and really cheesy. And if you haven't seen it, you're just missing out because it's fantastic. Hi, Ariel. No worries. We all gotta sleep. So here is my thought on what I want to ask you today. I want you guys to think about what you want to ask me or what you want to ask everybody else in the gory hole, because, it's a conversation. We're all contributing to the wonderment that is the gory hole. But I want to ask you guys today, what is the most scared you have ever been of a horror movie? And it doesn't even have to be one. You might have a few key moments from your life that stand out to you, horror movies that scare the shit out of you. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to check in with the chat a little bit. Martin says, I watched The Faculty for the first time this afternoon. Masterpiece in my eyes. I 100% agree. I love that movie. Review in the works now. I love that movie. It was like a cool kind of modern day twist on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, kind of doing for sci-fi what Scream did for slashers. It's great. Okay, so to get us started, I'm going to talk about, from the beginning, movies that scared me the most. And I'm pretty hard to scare now. As a kid, I was super, super easy to scare because, I was a kid. And I remember I would do one of two things. I would either hide behind the couch or I would have a pillow in my lap and I would cover my face because that gave me some reassurance that I was relatively protected from the things that were on the screen. The first thing I remember being really scared of wasn't even a movie I saw. My parents had a poster of Christine, and so to give you a little layout of our house, it was like there's a hallway, and it's splintered off into two. So down this way, you've got my parents' room and my brother's room, because they shared a room, and then there's a lone hallway that goes to my room. Down said lone hallway, there is a poster of Christine. I never saw Christine, but the poster scared the bejesus out of me. And so I would run down that hallway just to get past that poster as fast as I humanly could. So that's the first one I really remember being really scared of. There's also a lot of kids or Disney movies that kind of freaked me out. Movies like Watcher in the Woods, that one kind of scared me. Return to Oz was pretty creepy. I wouldn't go so far as to say scary. But yeah, let's check in with you guys. Lion Queen, which, by the way, nice to meet you. Merry meet. I have not seen you in the gory hole before, so if it's your first time here, welcome. And Lion Queen says, Rose Red scared me when I was young. I haven't seen that one, but it sounds scary. And Mr. Flickster, who I have a collab coming up with here soon, so make sure you subscribe to him, says, when I was a kid, I lived in California by the ocean. Jaws scared the hell out of me. I think even if Jaws didn't scare the hell out of you, who doesn't think about Jaws when they go swimming? I think about Jaws and I think about Piranha a lot. We still have this river in town. And when we were kids, we would swim across the river to this little island area with our life jackets on. And sometimes when you got into the deeper parts, your feet would get kind of tangled up in the algae and it would feel like something was grabbing you. And I would always think of Jaws and Piranha because you couldn't see the bottom of the water. You didn't know what was in there. And, the water, like any kind of dark water, really kind of freaks me out, mostly just because we don't know what's down there. Because, I don't know. It freaks me out. Sharks, anything in there freaks me out. Let's check in with you guys. Kevin, I like your pick here. Carnival of Souls. That is a really creepy one I want to cover on this channel eventually. I'm gonna go back a bit. Elisa, Watcher in the Woods. Can't be in the woods by yourself anymore. I 100% agree. That movie freaked the crap out of me when I was a kid. Ariel was afraid of Junior because the guy is pregnant, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the baby is scary because the baby has Arnold Schwarzenegger's head. That's terrifying. If that's what he looked like as a baby, I feel really bad for his mom because that is nightmare fuel. Kevin says, once I fell asleep and woke up in the dark alone, and the scene of the guy coming out of the water was on the, oh my goodness, that freaks me out. Martin, I cried the first time I tried to watch Night of the Living Dead with my dad. I wasn't ready for that kind of high stakes horror. Had to stop and watch something else. I've had to take breaks too. I'm very claustrophobic. And so this was when I was a teenager, but I remember when I watched Cube, I was having a hard time breathing just because I'm so claustrophobic. Another one that was kind of like that was the movie Daylight, which isn't even a horror movie, but I'm really claustrophobic. So movies that are really contained like that, sometimes I just get kind of panicky and I have to go step outside for a bit and take a break. Black Circle Boys scared Robin. I haven't heard of that one. The Evil Dead 2. Hey, Sandy Absolute. Henrietta in the Cellar. Yes, Henrietta is very, very scary. Oh, you guys are freaking me out. Dark Water scares me too. And, so if you guys are new to the show, you may not know that Sigma51 is my little brother. And I scuba, so I don't fear dark water. Yeah, he sounds like a total badass, right? Like he sounds like the kind of guy, like you're going to go into some scary situation, like into the dark water or into a freaky cave. Like you want this Sigma 51 guy to get your back. Well, hold up, because I know what movie scared the hell out of him. So remember The Grudge, and I'm not even talking Ju-on, the OG. Like after the OGs came out, then we had our American remakes, and they had kind of a, big rush in popularity here in the United States. So The Grudge comes out, and he was so freaked out by Kayako and that scared the hell out of him. And I remember he told me that he had a nightmare, I think, about her. And he was so scared that he kind of fell out of bed and broke his toe. So none of us are spared. Maybe one of these things in here, maybe one of these movies seems silly to you and it didn't scare you, but I guarantee there is a movie that has scared you. And if not, I'm willing to contend that there could be. Random Hero. Hey, Scooby-Doo is great. My mummy is in the chat, so everyone be super nice to my mummy, for she is the one who found me beneath a gooseberry bush when I was of but a young age. Anyway, Nettie Yale's my mummy, so be super nice. She says, it was the dead face in the boat in Jaws that scared me. I lost all my popcorn when it jumped up. Yeah, she saw that when she was 17 with my grandmummy. And I know two other ones that scared my mummy were the pink elephants when Dumbo gets drunk in Dumbo. And she was really freaked out by Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot TV miniseries when the little boy is like tapping on the window. And I think she told me that there was like a tree or something that was also tapping her window that was kind of exasperating that fear. And a film called Bug freaked out Have Cheetah Will View. I think I know which one you're talking about, the Ashley Judd one. That one's scary in a whole other way, because one of the things that freaks me out the most is the idea of like losing my mind, like something like In the Mouth of Madness. Like when you feel like you have an understanding of the world, but you understand from other people's perceptions of you that you're not operating properly, that you've lost your mind, or even losing your memory. Those two things scare me because, like, without our mind and our memory, like that's a big part of how we see ourselves, how we see our identity. So if we don't have those things, are we really us? And the other thing that scares me about the whole insanity thing is I used to, as a kid, I would think I'd see things in my room. I think I'd see things moving around, or I'd be freaked out. And the thing that scared me the most was not the idea. I mean, yeah, it's scary that they could be real, but the idea that I could believe they were real even if they're not there, because then you would be stuck in kind of like this nightmare world. There's a movie that stars Tom Hanks called Mazes and Monsters, and it really explores that idea. He plays D&D with his friends, and something happens to where he gets kind of stuck in this D&D world, and so he sees things that aren't there, and he's essentially, stuck in this like hallucinatory world, and I think that's terrifying. Um Zigma says he grabbed the car. The car? I don't know what he's talking about. I think he might mean cat. And leaped out of bed with the cat. Oh, it's the cat. Arkham says, speaking of The Grudge 1, I saw The Grudge 2 as a kid and it freaked me out when I was young. I actually really liked The Grudge 2 as far as the remakes go better than 1. I think it just it did more of its own thing. As far as the originals go, I prefer Ju-on. Sandy wants to know, am I drinking anything special tonight? Well, actually, this is a Mike's Hard lemonade that my buddy left me. I've got another one in case I run out. And then if that runs out, I've got some Diet Dr. Pepper, because Diet Dr. Pepper tastes more like regular Dr. Pepper. At least that's what the commercial says. Thank you for being nice to my mummy, Martin. You're my favorite child now. Because, I'm Martin's hard tube mama. So, not my favorite. Zachary Bird says, Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted scared me. That makes sense because, that's real. Those are things that people have at least alleged really happen. And with America's Most Wanted, those are people who are really out there. And I remember during the 90s, there was kind of like this spectacle around true crime. They capitalized on it in Scream too, with he's like, the court case is gonna be huge, the trial. Because they were televised. Everybody talked about OJ and the Menendez brothers and Amy Fisher. They were as big a part of our entertainment lives as blockbuster movies like Marvel are now. It was a huge thing. And so, yeah, it was almost like real life boogeymen that you were being told were out in your country. And the Unsolved Mysteries theme is creepy indeed. Thanks, Robin. Maverick says, the jump scare that still gets me to this day is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 when the light in the closet pops on and Leatherface chases the radio host. I know it's coming and it still gets me. So number one jump scare that's gotten me in my life and that still gets me, Maverick, is always going to be Friday the 13th. I remember the first time I saw that one was, I think, on TNT. It was on TV. And, they would cut a lot out of those movies, but they never cut that jump scare. And it's just because it lulls you into this false sense of complacency. There's this beautiful music. It's sunny. The sun is out. The cops are there. For all intents and purposes, it should be a relaxing, hopeful, uplifting scene. She's in the canoe. She's trailing her hand in the water. And then, boom! Baby Jason in your face, pulling you into the water. Nobody's safe. Horror everywhere. Oh my flipping God. And I've seen this movie a dozen times and it's like a Jack in the Box, It's like, it's coming. It's coming, but I can never time it just right. And it gets me every every single time. Every time. Absolutely. Other good jump scares that you guys can think of, let me know. Martin loves The Mouth of Madness. His favorite John Carpenter movie. I'm surprised. I would have guessed, being that Martin is a massive fan of the vampires, that it would be vampires. So, there's surprises for all of us here. Mr. Flickster. Why did I say that like the guy from Office Space? Making copies. Or was that SNL? I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, Mr. Flickster, killer clowns from outer space sparked my everlasting fear of clowns. I think that's called claustrophobia. The original It also contributed. Thankfully, I'm not afraid of clowns. So I mentioned a bit how I was afraid of a lot of movies. So another one I remember is I remember my mom was reading Carrie, and my mom, like, during waits for doctor's appointments, like in the waiting room and such, she would read me whatever book she was reading. And she read a lot of Stephen King in the 80s. And I was always fascinated. Like, I remember I would look at my mom's books, and there are these fat books. My mom could breeze through a big fat book within a few days. And I thought it was absolutely fascinating. I would make a mental note of where she was at in her book and be like, oh, wow, mom totally read all those. Go, mom. I was totally fascinated by it, but I was even more fascinated by what was within these books. So she would give me a tease of these, read little chunks of them here. And I'd be like, Carrie, so what's her story? What can she do? And I remember my mom was like, oh, she uses her powers and she knocks this boy off his bike. I'm like, oh, what else is going on? Like, tell me about her mom and stuff. And then eventually I'd get to the point where, like, I would either want the book to read it myself or I would want to watch the movie. And Carrie was another one that really scared me. And most of the movie didn't really scare me that much because I really sympathized with Carrie. I think the part that really scares me about Carrie is one, her being locked in that closet with that really creepy Jesus figure. That's nightmare fuel. But the jump scare at the end where Sue is laying the flowers on Carrie's grave and that hand comes up and it's like, dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's another jump scare that always gets me. Dang. And in fact, with Carrie, I was so afraid up until I was like, preteen. I was so afraid she was going to grab my foot as I got into bed that I would do that thing that Tad does in Cujo, where I'd make a run for it and then, like, dive into my bed so Carrie couldn't get me. When, let's break this down a bit. I lived in a 2-story house. My bedroom at this time in our lives was on the second floor. So in order for Carrie to grab my leg, she'd have to be jumping on the couch downstairs, which just looks ridiculous. So I'm not really afraid of that one anymore. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to back up in the chat here a little bit. Mac and Me is scary. I think Mac and Me is a legit horror movie. Been decades. I still lose sleep from that one. The characters of Mac and Me Catterday, those are scary. Live action Mr. Incorporated is so well done. I agree, Kevin. I highly recommend it. Am I excited for any upcoming summer movies? I'm excited for The Black Phone. I think that one's going to be a summer one. I think Nope is too. Those are two I'm really, really excited for, Ariel. And Martin knows mazes and monsters. That's awesome. Oh, there's another Bug. This one came out in 1975. I don't think I've seen that one. And yeah, my mom says the first movie I saw was An American Werewolf in London. I was only a couple of months old. And my mom was impressed that I was not a bit scared. I was probably too young to really know what was going on. My parents watched a lot of horror movies kind of around me from an early age. And I think they kind of had that impression that, she's a baby. She's probably not really paying attention. But at a certain point, you do start to notice some things. Like, I do remember seeing the very beginning opening of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that I think they rented one night. And that scared me. I remember being really scared. I think my dad and a buddy were watching Twilight Zone, the movie, and he's like, you want to see something really scary? And that still gives me chills. And I would hide behind the couch every time. So it was decades before I found out what was really scary. It's a blue werewolf thing, by the way, in case you didn't know. But yeah, that was one where the anticipation was scarier than the reveal. Dun 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 dun. Zygma wants me to tell you how our father was so scared of The Evil Dead that we were banned from watching it. Actually, Zygma, we were banned from watching 3 movies as children. We were allowed to watch quite a few things. I remember, like, we'd seen Cujo. We'd seen quite a few pretty scary movies, but our dad was very adamant about 3 movies we were forbidden from watching. We were forbidden from watching Dawn of the Dead. I think he just thought it was too graphic. We were forbidden from watching The Evil Dead because he thought it was the scariest movie he'd ever seen. And we were forbidden from watching The Exorcist. So to break these down a little bit more for you, Dawn of the Dead, he actually had a really good buddy, Liam, who used to babysit us. Now, this guy was cool. He was a lot younger than our parents, which our parents were pretty young. But he worked at a pub with our dad. And he was like this cool punk guy. And I remember he was babysitting us with his girlfriend, and I'm only a year and a half older than Zigma and only 3 years older than our youngest. We're pretty close in age. But he was like, well, you're the oldest, so you get to watch this really scary movie. And this is a really cool guy. This is a guy who got me into comics and who was really into movies. And so it was cool to be treated like one of the adults. And so my brothers are upstairs playing. I'm like, yeah, I'm totes old. I'm like, I don't know, 7? So I'm going to watch Dawn of the Dead. Hell yeah. So I'm sitting with him and his girlfriend. We do not get past the opening. You know, when they're like in the newsroom, we don't get past that. I have a vague memory of, I think, the first time I saw someone get bit in that movie, and I was starting to get scared, and I was starting to get also a little embarrassed because they're there. And so I remember saying something along the lines of, oh, I need to go check on my brothers. And I didn't come back. I have seen the movie since then. Love it. So the other one was The Evil Dead. That one we watched when I was about 12, like quite a bit later. I put off that one for a long time because my dad was really afraid of the part where the girlfriend is like chanting, like in that kind of yoga pose, like, we're gonna get you, not another peep, whatever, time to go to sleep. Scared the shit out of him. Well, by the time we watched that, we were quite a bit older, and I was surprised by just how funny that movie is. Even the original Evil Dead, it's not nearly as funny as Evil Dead 2, and definitely not as Army of Darkness. It does lean more into the horror. However, there is a lot of comedy in that movie. And my brothers and I were just having a blast. We're laughing, we're enjoying it. And that was, I remembered, that was the movie where I was like, I don't need this fucking pillow anymore. Like, this is a good time. I'm good. But Exorcist was indeed really scary. I caught that at a buddy's house when I was really young, like 10 or so. And I didn't even get to the part where she's like fully possessed and spewing pea soup. I got to where she gets like that lump in her throat right before the cross scene, and I kind of noped out of that one. That one really freaked me out. But I did find out that the big reason my dad was so afraid of that movie is he thought I looked like Reagan. So one night when he was watching that, I did actually wake up and scared the shit out of him. So yeah, he was really easily scared of horror movies. All right. Let's check back in with you guys. What are you guys talking about? Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction with Jonathan Frakes. Yes, the guy who's Commander Riker on Next Generation. That was a good one. Elisa says, funny thing, Jurassic Park in the movie theater made me jump. I was 14. There are some genuinely scary parts of that movie. I remember my son, when he was young, he was excited by the idea of the movie, the story of the movie. And so I made him an edit of it that was basically 15 minutes long, where I cut out the really intense and scary parts for him. But that way he could watch the movie. So he had a short, kid-friendly version of Jurassic Park. Arkham cannot stand mazes and monsters. It's pro-satanic panic propaganda. I agree. When I first saw it, I was pretty young, so I didn't really understand what they were trying to do with that movie. And it's based on a book based on an inaccurate news article. Yeah, it's very much a satanic panic kind of movie. But at the time I saw it, I was young, and the only thing I really took away from it is that you could basically force yourself to go crazy, which I don't believe can happen now, but at the time, the concept that you could really scared me. Martin's favorite jump scare is the hand through the mirror in Candyman. It hits you before you have time to brace yourself. Yeah, that Candyman is a really scary movie. That's a good one. Scream 1, says Mr. Flickster, when Casey looks through the window. Yes! And then you see the ghost. And the funny thing is, now when I watch it, I'm almost certain that's Stu when she looks through the window. And I think what's going on, if you think about it from their point of view, I think Billy and Stu have lost track of her. And they're going through the kitchen and they're looking through the house trying to figure out where the hell she is. And when I watch it now, I think when Ghostface looks back at her, I mean, he's got a mask on, so we can't see the expression, but I think Stu is genuinely kind of a little scared of Casey. Like, he doesn't expect to see her in the window. So now I kind of get a chuckle out of it, just the way I watch it now. Catterday Night. I really like your name, by the way. That's a great name. Says the jump scare in the car in Haunting of Hill House. I forgot which episode. I do remember what you're talking about. That was a really, really good Netflix series. Clowns make Cheetah laugh. Arkham's favorite jump scare is Haunting or Hell House. My bad. Hell House LLC. That was a good found footage. Yeah, my mummy. Do you watch Arachnophobia, Gory? Gory. Arachnophobia. A lot of you who might have seen me on YouTube for a while might know I am very, very arachnophobic. I'm very afraid of spiders. The thing that gets me the most is when they drop down from the ceiling. And I actually have a few key, really scary spider moments in my life. You know, and I think a lot of our phobias come from real life moments. Like I mentioned, I'm claustrophobic. There was an incident where an old wardrobe I had in my room, we were playing hide and seek, and I got stuck in it. And I think a lot of my claustrophobia stems from that. With the spiders, I remember at one point playing with my friends at her house and going between the shed and her house and getting a spider web stuck on my face. And another one, I was already afraid of spiders at this point. But I remember my brothers were at our dad's house. And I'm watching Son of a Woman. I remember that because I was really into that movie and Chris O'Donnell at the time because he was nummy-tastic. And I'm in my brother's like room area and I'm enjoying a night having the house to myself. And I see all these little tiny baby spiders and I'm squishing them with my finger and I'm applauding myself for how over my arachnophobia I am. And then I lean back like I'm gonna like rest my head back and I just see the red vase symbol and these legs sprawling out as this black widow lowers from the ceiling. I scream, I throw off all my clothes, I jump into the shower. I'm like, ah! So yeah, I've been really afraid of spiders most of my life, and even movies like Spider-Man, especially that live action Charlotte's Web, scare the crap out of me. But I will say now that I have two pet spiders, Ichabod and Renfield, they are jumping spiders. Observing them and seeing how they're genuinely really afraid of us and just how like sweet their little personalities are, I'm really coming around to spiders more. I'm really kind of starting to get over that fear. Not enough to have one walk on me, but enough that I've thought about getting a tarantula. So I'm conquering that one little by little, thanks to my little buddies that I live with. Martin says, I haven't watched Vampires all the way through. I know Carpenter talked some shit about Buffy in interviews in that movie. What? Saying vampires with, oh, I do know that one. How like their vampires were badass. No. And don't talk shit about Buffy, John Carpenter. I love Buffy. Have I seen the John Wayne Gacy tapes on Netflix? No, you mentioned that one to me on Twitter, I think, and I still haven't gotten to it, but I hope to. Dun, 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 dun. I got some catching up to do. Ariel says, speaking of jump scares, I remember watching that movie on Nick starring Fred, the high-pitched voice guy of Night of the Living Fred. I haven't seen that, but Fred dressed up as a vampire scared her. Is Tiffany behind you? Yes, she is. Hey, Ben, how you doing? So Mummy says she read to me at night and would not let me stop at a scary bit. So I had to read. Oh, I wouldn't let her stop at a scary bit. So I had to read until I fell asleep. She had to read until I fell asleep as all the books were scary. Hey, you read Peter Rabbit. That wasn't scary. Well, kind of scary though, because Mr. Gregor wanted to put that guy into a pie. Oh, by the way, guys, let's check in really quick. How's the channel doing? Let's take a look here. How is the channel doing? I'm going to take a little peek. So last week, when we had our horror hangout, I was at, I think, 1,000... I don't know. Let me check really quick. Last week, I was at 1,870. And then we did like a subathon to extend the stream. And we got 10 subs and it was totally cool. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what? Today I have 1,912. In fact, yesterday I was talking to a gal in the checkout line at Safeway, and she was like, "You're really cool. Let's stay in touch. Are you like on anything?" And I was like, "You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and we'll be buddies." So maybe she's even watching today. That would be super rad. It's cool to make friends in random places, guys. And there's always more room. There's always more room in the gory hole because the gory hole is bottomless. Anyway, let's try to get to 2K. Let's expand our dark influence. Let's, keep the gory hole a growing. We're at 1,912. And I'm still feeling pretty good. I think we can hang out for a bit longer. But we should keep track of how many subscribers we got. So let's take a look here. We're at 1,912, and I'll add some kind of bonus time for any additional subscribers we get. So when I decide to call it a night, we'll add an extra 10 minutes per subscriber. Anyway, let's get back to the chat. Jump scares are starting to get overrated. I agree to an extent, but I think there's always room for a good jump scare. And I think a good jump scare, it works against our expectations. It defies our expectations. It makes you look one way and then it jumps out the other way. And so I think there's always room to continue to do that well. Did I know there's an Evil Dead musical? As a matter of fact, Lion Queen, I have seen the Evil Dead musical. I've sat in the splatter zone twice. It's really fun. And I have the soundtrack to Evil Dead the musical. My favorite song goes, "What the fuck was that? Your girlfriend just turned into a demon." Anyway, I love this. I love that. And Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, yeah. I love that one. I'm so sorry for my terrible singing. Arkham Knight. Those 3 movies are tame now when you consider ones like Where the Dead Go to Die and Found. I still haven't seen Found. I heard that's intense. Could be a factor being exposed to more graphic stuff so early. I will agree. I do agree with that. Because I watched a lot of movies that are pretty scary, pretty young. I feel like I got a lot of my trepidation about horror out when I was pretty young. To this day, I think the most scared I've ever been of a horror movie, I think I was about 11, but my youngest brother and I really wanted to watch Pet Sematary. And my mom was like, "Are you sure? It's really scary." And we're like, yeah, we're sure. Totally sure. And my mom was really good about, she would never tell us no when it came to horror movies. She would just be like, "Are you sure? Well, okay, a little boy dies in this. There's a cat that dies and comes back from the dead. Are you sure?" And we'd be like, yeah, we can totally handle that. But I think the scariest things are the things that you can't really define. And the thing that scared us was Zelda. Now, what is it about Zelda? Is it the voice? Is it the hunched back? I don't know. But it comes together in a way that's truly terrifying. And Zelda scared the shit out of me. And I think part of it is Zelda is a teen girl played by an adult man. And it's got a lot of prosthetics. So, obviously Zelda's human, but she's got kind of that uncanny valley where in your brain, you recognize there's something not quite right about Zelda, something almost monstrous. And I think when we see the human form contorted or, manipulated like that, I think it fucks with us. And it definitely fucked with me and left an impression for a long time. To this day, Zelda scares me a lot. Let me know if that one scared you guys. I'm sure the book Carrie was scarier than the movie. I was always terrified of the film. I do think it is scarier than I think the movie's scarier than the book, because the book is a lot of like news articles and interviews, and it's a little more procedurally. It's a little more like, it's like a court cases and stuff. It's less scary, but it does have some really great moments in it that haven't made it into any of the movies. The dark closet in the house, the way the knives all went into the mother and left her hanging there, definitely scary parts. Mummy says Liam was Irish and liked to dress all in black. He also had black hair. Yeah, he was totally punk. He was awesome. He was really cool. I remember the first time I met Liam, our punk babysitter, we woke up and this very tall man is asleep on our living room floor. Like, I think our dad said he could crash at our house, and he was just sleeping on the floor, and we just kind of were like, hey. But he was totally cool about it. He was like, "Oh, young people, I will hang out with you and talk to you about the Batman and the Postman Pat." He was super rad. Super rad. Dun, 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 dun. Martin, I'm surprised the stuff in the original Evil Dead wasn't the reason you were forbidden from watching it. The tree stuff. Yeah, it wasn't that. It was the girlfriend. Basically, my dad considered any movie that scared him to be basically too scary for us. But a lot of the stuff that scares him isn't the kind of stuff that scared me. I think I'm more in line with my mom in that way. It's something about like things with people and stuff. To give you guys another example of a movie that scared the shit out of me. Now let's get, I'm like taking you guys through this journey of times I almost wet myself. One of the movies that to this day scares me a lot. Like, this was one of those ones. Have you ever guys been so afraid of a movie that when you look at the box art, it's almost like this forbidden object? It's almost like this cursed thing that you're afraid to look at. You're afraid to touch it. As a kid, Exorcist was like that. Even seeing pictures of Reagan's face, which I saw for years in like books where you would order movies. I saw pictures of her for years before I saw that movie, and she scared the hell out of me. That's how it was for me with The Ring. And The Ring, I was really fortunate in that I had no idea what that movie was about going in. I didn't know about the original. The trailer I saw was the actual Ring movie. So I wasn't really sure what to expect, like maybe some kind of art house thing. And that movie was so clever in that it played with Western audiences' ideas about the paranormal. In our movies, even movies like The Entity that are supposed to be based on a true story, we are capable of defeating the ghost. We're capable of putting them away and overcoming them. Whereas in Eastern society, that's not the case. You can't get rid of a curse or an evil spirit. It will run its course. It will run its course, and there's nothing you can do. Evil cannot be stopped. They think the concept of stopping something like that with a spell or something, like they can't really fathom it. That's why it's awesome in Cabin in the Woods, where they put it into a happy frog. Like that's the kind of thing you'd probably have to do. You'd have to transfer it to something else because you can't stop it. And I didn't know this at the time. And so I watched the movie and I'm like, yes, that's a typical ending to a movie like this. They've put the girl's soul at rest. Everything is fine. We're all good. Wait, the movie's still going. And then the guy, Martin Herm, I can't remember his last name, Martin Henderson, he goes back to his house. And then the bitch comes out of the damn TV. I was so scared. And that expression on her face when it zooms in and you see her eye. Oh, that movie scared the hell out of me. I was just like, girl, get back in that TV. The movie was so scary. And the other reason that movie scares me so much is to this day, a lot of movies, I feel, I'm like you guys. We feel like we're the Randy. We feel like we know the rules to survive a horror movie. I watched The Ring and I know damn well I am dead. I am so dead. Because if you told me, hey, I've got this really scary videotape, you want to see it? I'm gonna be like, yeah, I want to see it. I'm going to watch it. And here's the thing. I have one VCR. A lot of people I know don't even have a VCR. I definitely don't have two VCRs. I'm definitely also not clever enough to know how to make a copy of a VHS tape onto another VHS tape. I'm definitely not clever enough to figure this out in 7 days. I am so dead. I am so beyond dead. There is no way I'm surviving the movie The Ring. That movie scares the hell out of me. I'm so sorry for my little rant. Then, the one where the guy was like, I don't know. I'm going to skip down to things where I know what you're talking about. Ben says the one from The Conjuring where they're looking in the wardrobe, but they see the girl on top of the wardrobe and jumps at them. That's a really good one too, because it defies your expectations. It's like a magic trick. It's telling you to look here. It jumps at you here. James Wan is really, really good at that. He is a master at misdirection in that way. Yes, that is Tiffany behind me. Ba-dum-bump. My mommy got me that. And I have Chucky too, but he's over here. Egg! Horror Zone Drake. How's it going, buddy? Zigma says the one that scared me the most was when the gremlin broke out of the medicine cabinet. I did rush poops for weeks before a gremlin could get me while doing my business. I remember that when we saw Gremlins as a kid, it was the gremlin in the medicine cabinet. And I remember my brothers being particularly afraid, like not just of the medicine cabinet, but they were also concerned that a gremlin could come out of the drain in the bathtub. I remember the drain in the bathtub was an issue for a while. The thing that scares me the most about Gremlins, it's so strange because it's both scary, but the music and everything makes me really sad too, is the very ending when they take Gizmo away. And he's like, there's that narration where it's like, if look behind your fridge, underneath, your bed, because it just might be a gremlin. The narration combined with the creepy imagery, and then I'm also sad because Gizmo's going away. That part always really gets me. Like, just really kind of makes me unsettled. Absolutely, Drake. Spiders are harmless unless you provoke them. Then they have no other option to bite you. A lot of times when people get bitten by spiders, it's like if you're in bed, you might roll over on them. You need to check your shoes when you're camping because because we're big scary things to them, and they're gonna bite in self-defense. Spiders are not like evil. You know, they're way more afraid of us, and I feel bad because they do a great service for us in getting rid of things that can actually make us sick and hurt us. Most spiders don't even have enough venom to even really cause us harm. So I know it's an irrational fear, and it is one I am working on conquering. Let's not talk about the Tiffany doll after Craven's stream the other night. Oh my god. Yeah, shit got weird over on Craven's stream. I'm really happy this year. You know, this year for a lot of reasons hasn't been great for me, but one of the things that I'm really grateful for is I met Knight. Through Knight, I met Steven from Craven Something Scary. Through them, I met Jake and Fate, and these guys have been so welcoming. It feels like the cool kids table at school, and they're like, yeah, you can have lunch with us. And they've been so welcoming, and they're so welcoming to everybody, and just been super supportive of my channel. They've had me on their streams. They've just been really nice, genuine salt of the earth guys. So I am very grateful for their friendships. And absolutely, please, guys, subscribe to their channels if you're not already. They're also all together on the Lethal Collective, which I like to think of like as the MCU of YouTube. Just all these great creators together in one space. Oh no, Ben got bit by a camel spider. And he's still not scared of spiders. My brother Zigma, who's in the chat, also got bit by a camel spider. What's scary is they numb you so you don't feel it. And I guess he woke up with a chunk of his bicep missing. Flickster went to the circus as a kid and was concerned and surrounded by clowns. Absolutely cornered and surrounded by clowns. Absolutely terrifying. So my son Lawls, for the longest time, was terrified of elephants. And I wasn't with him, but his demonic father took him to, and I'm not like calling him names, like his father actually is a demon. That's cool. You know, I used to be kind of into that whole bad boy thing. Anyway, so he's like half demon. Anyway, he'd come to the circus, which is a totally nice father thing to do. Like he's overall a pretty good dad. But Laws was terrified of the elephants, these giant animals, and he used to forever, like if there was a thunderstorm, he thought it was the sound of elephants coming to get him, and they were going to reach through his window, break the window, and pull him out with their trunk. He was terrified. And oh, I see the Nightmare Files is here. Oh, and my best friend Rebecca Stoll, Becky, is here. I love her so much. And I'm so happy that she found her fur baby, Eddie, the other day. So I'm really happy about that. Let me catch up a little bit more on the chat. I keep going off these rants. Ariel mentions Joe's apartment that grossed her out. Do I like Return to Horror High? I believe RMJ, that's the one that's got George Clooney in it. I like it, but it's still not as good as his part in Grizzly 2. No, I'm kidding. Actually, his best movie is Return of the Killer Tomatoes. The Horror Zone. Take New World tarantulas, for instance. The phase of defense is flicking hair. Second phase is threat pose. And third is the flee and bite if there's no option yet. Spiders are pretty good even before they do attack, of showing you poses and stuff. Yeah, and tarantulas. I've always actually liked tarantulas. I think it's because they're hairy, and to me that's more mammalian. But I have actually been really kind of seriously considering getting a tarantula. Dun 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 dun. And Drake is saying true world spiders, which is what you encounter typically, are non-aggressive. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually, even because I am afraid of spiders, I'm on a forum called the Arachnoboards, and I actually do research spiders a lot, because I think when we're afraid of things, the more we research them, the more we understand them, the less afraid of them we are. And I think that's where a lot of my true fears come from, is the things I can't research, I can't understand, because there's no answer. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of that moment where I cease to be alive anymore. Will I be afraid? What will it be like? And I can't research the answer to that. There's no way to know. But spiders, I can research the hell out of that. And I actually am very fascinated by spiders. And I do have a great love of them. And Drake says, sorry to Lexia, I was just saving spiders' lives until... Yeah, and like I said, Drake, I have 2 spiders that I've rescued and fed and made them nice and plump. Renfield and Ichabod are my 2 little Phidias Odyx jumping spiders, and I love them very much. All right, let's. Peachy Sorceress, how's it going? Haven't seen you in the chat before. Merry meet. Peachy, you love Buffy. Have I told you that we're already best friends? Because we are. I love Buffy. Buffy is practically a religion in my household. Dun dun dun. Zelda plus strobe lights was scary. Scrolling down. They also made Carrie into a musical. Yeah, Carrie was actually only shown for 2 days before they nixed it. It's supposed to be one of the worst musicals of all time, but I would kill, well, I would kill to see it. I really want to see it. I hope that eventually some kind of recording of it comes out, or like a VHS, like they have of like Cats, would come out of it. My buddy Tony, going back to the body manipulation thing, Cronenberg flicks are unsettling like that. Again, I agree with you because we have this understanding of the human body, and we are humans, well, most of us. So when we see that manipulated, when we see things that shouldn't happen to it, like being used as like a VCR in the belly, I think it does something to us in a way, and that's what I think is great about his remake of The Fly. A lot of people have interpreted that as being about AIDS, which 100% I am of the stance that when a movie is released, it's art and you can interpret it however you want, and there's no wrong answer. But Cronenberg has said that it was sort of a metaphor for old age. How as we age, our bodies fall apart, and we lose our teeth and we lose our hair, and we become like almost different people, and how scary that is. And I definitely see that. And there's a lot of horrifying things about just the natural process of being alive that are horrifying, and Cronenberg is fantastic at exploiting our fears about those things. Dun 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 dun. Robin, I actually don't have Joe Bob and Darcy plushies. I know a lot of people do. And I'm very happy for them. I think Danny has some if you want to check out his sometime. Great jump scares in the ring, indeed. Us, says Peachy Sorceress. There's the performances in Us are so good. Lupita in that, she is terrifying. In that way, like in a lot of vampire movies where it's like she's gorgeous but she's terrifying, and so like it makes her fascinating. Again, it's kind of like how I see spiders. I think spiders are gorgeous, but they do kind of creep me out. And she's gorgeous, but gosh, she scares me in that movie. She really does. Catching up in the chat. The Movie Massacre Show. So again, I mentioned earlier how this year, one of the best parts of it is making new friends, and I'm very fortunate to become friends with Rich from the Movie Massacre Show, and I think we come from a similar background where at one point in time we had kind of a hard time with YouTube. Like we found the wrong sections of YouTube where people were less supportive, and then we've come back to it and it's been more positive. But absolutely very grateful to have my friend Rich in the horror sphere. Sigma says, the thing I fear most in this world is centipedes. Why to this day I refuse to watch that damn movie, The Human Centipede, since I also find feces super gross. Yeah, there's something, like there's always a movie out there. Another movie, as far as movies that have scared the shit out of me, and I think the most recent movie, and it's strange because we talk about it and it should be a negative thing because we're talking about fear. But I get really kind of excited when something truly scares me, like The Ring. It was a long time before I could even buy that movie because just looking at the box scared me. It was like this cursed object. And the second movie that did that to me was Paranormal Activity. And I actually saw that one earlier. I had watched it on, I think, YouTube when it was still circling like Sundance and stuff. And then I remember I saw it at the movie theater, which was one of the worst experiences ever. I saw it on a date, and what sucked about it was there was a lot of guys in the theater who were like laughing and making jokes. And I think a lot of people do that because either one, they can't handle silence, and there's a lot of silence in that movie. Silence makes people uncomfortable and they feel the need to fill it. or because they're scared. And I think a lot of people, like not just guys, but people will make jokes to basically either make themselves feel secure or to make them to make an impression on other people that they're not afraid. At any rate, it was really annoying, but it didn't stop the movie from being any less scary. The movie's really scary, and the part that scares me is actually a part that a lot of people don't like about the movie. The part that really scares me is at the very end when she throws Mika, and then you hear that bump, bump, bump. Well, at the time I saw this movie, the apartment I shared with my son Lawls, the view from my doorway looked like the view into their stairwell. I also had steps that had like a rubber coating on them. So it was a very loud sound when someone came up the stairs. And it looked and sounded the same as like my stairs. So that already created an association for me. But then when she comes up there and she looks at the camera, there's something about any movie. I think it's because we know that on some level it's wrong. They're breaking the fourth wall. And sometimes it's fun, like in a Deadpool movie. But in that movie, it just feels like that demon is looking right at you. And it scared the shit out of me. It was a long time before I could buy that movie. But again, because it scared me so much, I found it really fascinating. And I knew eventually I'd have to add it to my collection. And that's one that's, I think, really controversial because a lot of people hate that movie. A lot of people think it's not scary. But something about the paranormal just gets under my skin. I think that's kind of my vulnerability when it comes to horror movies. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, Movie Massacre is afraid of beans. You need to not watch My Name is Bruce because it's got some beautiful bean footage that could really freak you out. Catching up in the chat. How am I doing, Steven? Steven, I'm having a really good time hanging out with my friends here in the Gory Hole. Let's take a look at our subscriber count. It was at 1,912. It's still at 1,912, guys. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you know when we do these hangouts. We have gone over an hour, but I don't know about you guys. I'm having a good time. I think we might have a longer stream tonight. What? It's Saturday night. All right. What's this flavor? Hard pineapple strawberry. Don't mind if I do. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Tony. These are delicious. Okay. Martin, sometimes you meet people, and I love the term kindred spirits, like from Anne of Green Gables. Sometimes you meet people who are your kindred spirits, and that's how I feel about Martin. Martin says, Buffy is practically a religion for me as well. Like we joke that I'm Martin's mom and Martin's my adopted child, but it's totally true on a spiritual level. I adore Martin, and we are so often on the same page. Also, I know Martin over on Collector Man's channel did a screening of The Craft today, which is one of my favorite movies. I'm going to be checking that out tonight when I'm done with the stream, and I highly recommend that you guys do as well. There's going to be a Beetlejuice and Goosebumps musical, Robin? That sounds interesting. Rich went to the Evil Dead musical in Vegas. It was rather groovy. I dig that. I dig that. I've seen it twice in Seattle. Martin, the body horror, especially with a sexual component like in Shivers, really unsettles me in Cronenberg stuff. 100%. 100%. Lion King. Well, the most recent production of Carrie, I think, was in Los Angeles, California in 2015. The musical was revived off Broadway in 2012. That's really cool. So maybe there's a chance we can see it. If you've seen it, I would love to hear more about it sometime. Hey, I'm getting kind of caught up in the chat. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see what else is going on. Dun, 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 dun. The Movie Massacre does rock. Guys, please 100% subscribe to my buddy Movie Massacre. One of those channels that is like, you know, it's going to be huge someday, and you have the advantage now of saying I was subscribed to them before they blew up. So 100% do that. The Boogeyman. I've never seen you here. Marry me. Welcome to the Gory Hole. Sinister for me. The Super 8 scenes were so well done. Sinister is another one of those movies where I have to say I don't think I would have survived it, because we always say that in movies. We always say, get the fuck out of the house. And he does that. He moves. He does the smart thing. And that's entirely what leads to him getting killed. I think a lot of us would have died in the movie Sinister. And the Super 8 footage is terrifying. I actually have a Super 8 camera. One of these days, I need to get some film for it and make some scary movies. What was the first movie you saw in theaters? You know, honestly, my parents were really good about taking us to the cinema when we were really young. So I can't tell you 100% which one because I would have been too young to really form memories. I can tell you 100% Lawless's first movie in cinemas was the movie Sky High with Bruce Campbell in it because I took him. My mom, who's in the chat, might be able to tell you better than I could. I have very vague memories of seeing Return of the Jedi just because I remember my dad took me to get a coloring book and I got a Return of the Jedi one right afterwards. I remember that more than the movie. I remember my dad took me to Fantasia. My dad was that before when my brothers were super young. I remember my dad would take me to movies, just him and I a bit. And my parents always took us to like whatever Disney movie one. So I remember we all went to see Great Mouse Detective. Those are the ones that come to mind for me, but there's probably a ton I don't remember just because I was super young. I would love a Reanimator musical. Movie Massacre is looking forward to Crypticon. Dun, 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 dun. The first movie I saw in theaters, Sandy says, was Amityville Horror. I was 4 years old and I never quite got over that. Amityville Horror, that moment when she looks at the window and you see the red eyes, and yeah, I know it's a cheesy effect when, you know, it's Jodie out there, but that's the part that really freaks me out. And there's something kind of very just really unsettling about that movie. I mean, I know it's all based on a hoax or whatever, but the movie is really unsettling. It has this very like the atmosphere is just so stifling, if that makes any sense. That movie does creep me out. Yes, my brother Zigma and I and my son all went to an Evil Dead escape room in Seattle. Evil Dead 2 escape room in Seattle. It was super fun. Ben has been to the Evil Dead musical a bunch. Make sure you have a Ziploc for your phone. Yes, you can get a poncho, but dude, you want to get covered and stuff. I've learned a long time ago how to keep my phone safe just from going to many a Guar concert. Oh, you've listened to the Carrie musical soundtrack. I'm gonna have to check that out. Thank you, Lion Queen. I'm really excited about this. Yeah, Martin had a great time watching The Craft. We got into some deep discussion afterwards as well. I'm really excited to see that. And my mom says she doesn't remember as she is super old. That's okay, Mom. That's okay. I'm sure whatever it was pretty awesome. Hopefully I behaved well in the cinema. Hey, I'm almost caught up in the chat. Arkham loves the first Amityville horror movie. The rave scene in Blade scared me as a kid. That one made me super excited because I was a teenager at the time and I was goth. So I was like, fuck yeah, that scene. Other movies that really scared me. I think one of the times I was the most scared watching a movie is Poltergeist. Now, Poltergeist, I don't think it's even rated R. I think Poltergeist was one of the first PG-13 movies. And Poltergeist, for the most part, is more sad than scary, though it has some key scary moments. The clown, the gnarled tree outside. But the part that scares me is one I don't ever hear people mention. So I loved Poltergeist, and I remember I was sick. I was sick as a kid. I had the flu or something. I don't remember exactly what, but I was on the couch and I was watching it on VHS. And I was too tired and too sick, and I did not feel like getting up. And that's fine with VHS because if you don't get up, the VCR will get to the end of the tape and it will rewind on its own. And then you just got to figure out a way to turn off the TV and then you go to bed. So I do that. I'm just going to let the tape run its course. Well, at the very end of Poltergeist, after the credits, it's completely still. It's completely quiet. That really creepy theme song finishes, and then you hear children laughing. It's the last thing you hear before the TV goes to static and you're in this quiet, dark room by yourself. Just, I think the situation I was in, being alone in that room, the sound of the kids laughing in the dark gave me chills. And to this day, I will not watch Poltergeist past the credits, the original Poltergeist. That scared the holy hell out of me. Like, I still remember just sitting there frozen on the couch, too afraid to move, too afraid to get up and turn off the TV. And then I'm left with this TV on like static channel, which after watching Poltergeist is even more terrifying. So yeah, that one really stuck with me. Robin says, I think the Blair Witch Project did its job really well. I like the movie. Blair Witch doesn't exist to me. I like that. I wanted my money. Oh, I see. You're talking about the reboot. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the reboot either. I think it took out a lot of the mystery that made the original so special. The first movie Ariel saw on pay-per-view is the Psycho remake. Ariel, I'm so sorry, and you deserve your money back. Sandy wants to know, have I ever said Bloody Mary or Candyman in the mirror? Okay, so Sandy, I'm a witch. I have always been a very superstitious person, so I don't screw with that shit. I don't say Candyman in the mirror. I don't say Bloody Mary in the mirror. I don't do any of that stuff. I don't play with Ouija boards. I just don't. I am way, way too superstitious. So yeah, I don't. I totally nope out of that. My buddy the Strange Monkey, who I've always said is the Crypticon, or not the Crypticon, the Crypt Keeper of YouTube. I love him. I love his channel. He is in the chat. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Lion Queen, I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. It sounds like it's so much fun. I hope one day that I do get to go. That'd be super cool. Extron Gaming says, you remember when Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street was watching Evil Dead on her TV? I do. There's actually, I know there's some kind of a war that did exist between Wes Craven and I remember there's something about that. Like, so, or maybe that was Steven Spielberg. I don't remember. I know there's quite a few in like Wes Craven movies, like references to other things. So I'm remembering the story and I don't remember all the details, which I feel bad about. But yeah, there is an ongoing Evil Dead like reference thing in there. She also has a tiny Evil Dead poster on her wall, I believe. If you guys know what I'm talking about to give some more light into this, that would be awesome. Student Bodies is better than the scary movies. I need to see that. I've heard it's really good. And my buddy Craven Something Scary has the director of that movie on a stream, you think, sometime this weekend. Kane in Poltergeist 2 scarred me for life. That actor, I mean, it's the makeup and everything too, but also just that actor is phenomenally good. The part that I always remember from Poltergeist 2 is when the dad, Craig T. Nelson, which by the way, alumni of the same college I went to, though I don't think I believe the story goes he didn't finish there, but he did go to Central Washington University like I did. Anyway, Craig T. Nelson swallows the worm from the tequila, and then you get like a massive worm. Oh, that part's so cool. I love that. Yep, stay away from that fellow witch. Elisa knows what's up. She's a fellow witch herself, so really cool. Excited to meet Elisa in person, hopefully sometime. The first horror I ever watched was Evil Dead 2. Dad rented it when I was way young. That is super cool, Ben. Neon Blackwell Reviews. Merry meet and welcome to the Gory Hole. Gory B and Strange Monkey both are. Thank you so much. It's really sweet of you. Thank you. Martin says, has being sick ever altered your experience of a horror movie? Definitely has for me. Martin, I have a crazy story to tell you. So again, this is an example. The story, I was not in my right mind. So I'm just going to recount it from my personal memory, which once you hear the story, you're going to realize I was not in my right head. So the one that sticks out to me, I believe it was Wishmaster 2. I don't entirely remember. At this time in my life, I think I was like 12 or 13, 14. Actually, I might have been older. I think I was actually like 15. Okay, clearly my memory of how old I was isn't very good. Anyway, I remember we rented one of the Wishmaster movies, and you might be able to tell me which one it was, because I do remember, I think I remember there was some kind of war scene, and I was really feverish. I had a really high fever, and the movie was affecting my perception. And in my head, I felt like I was on the battlefield and my leg had been blown off, and I just started shouting, medic, medic. And I have a vague memory in my fever-induced state of my mom being like, asking me like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? Like, she couldn't figure out why I was just being really strange. I mean, she knew I was sick, so she probably figured it out. But I was just so feverish that I basically felt like I was in the movie, that I felt like I was like in the scene that was on the screen, and it was really scary. It felt real. It 100% felt like it was actually happening. My mom says the first movie she saw was Song of the South. Oof, Mom. I didn't know what the movie was about. I just loved the song with the bluebird on my shoulder. Or was it an avocado? No, that's big. Uh, different times, dude. Different times. Station! Thank you, Steven. I needed that. Arkham Knight says, I found student bodies to be very bleh. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm all for supporting female directors. Hopefully I like it. I hope so. The tall man in Phantasm ruined me. Boy! Yes, the tall man is terrifying. Angus Scrimm, forever an icon. Rest in peace. Zigma says, I used to drink coffee with Stephen King, but I didn't know it was him. He told me his name was Kevin, and we talked about everyday stuff like the weather. Yeah, I remember Zigma told me the story. Our dad, I don't know if he still does, but he used to have a computer cafe in Walla Walla, Washington, where Stephen King, I guess, had a house. And my brother tells me that Stephen King would come in there and have coffee, and it was a while before he understood. I think our dad told him, because our dad is a fan, that was Stephen King. So that's pretty cool. I remember the one scene from Look Who's Talking with the talking toilet seat with fangs. Yeah, Ariel, that's scary. You know, the thing that scares me the most about toilets, when I was a kid, I do remember the Ghoulies thing. They'll get you in the end. And I am afraid of something coming out of the toilet. And I've seen so many of those videos on YouTube where like a rat comes out of the toilet, or a snake, or a big spider crawls out from under the rim. And it's not so much that I'm afraid of the animal, though I am, because in that state, the animal, the spider, the rat, the snake is scared. So they're in a position where they're going to attack because they're afraid for their life. They're in a scary situation. They're trapped. And I'm scared because my butt is exposed to potential fangs. So yeah, I can't use the toilet in the dark because I'm afraid that there's going to be a ghoulie who's going to get me in the tushy. So that's me. Let me know if you guys have ever considered that or if that scares you. Yes, Harden, welcome. Good to see you. Zelda from Pet Sematary. I talked about Zelda earlier. Zelda scares the shit out of me. I feel like when they made the remake, it was a total missed opportunity because I think Zelda has always been the scariest part of Pet Sematary. And I think the way they changed the origin and Zelda's death and everything was interesting, but they didn't make Zelda scary. And I don't even know if they could redo the horror of that original movie. Like, it might just be lightning in a bottle. Oh, Drake, I hope you feel better, buddy. Do I believe in aliens? Extron, actually, I do. I honestly feel like it's arrogant for us to think that we're the only intelligent life in the universe. I absolutely think there's other life forms out there. That's just ridiculous that there wouldn't be any other kind of life. We know from our planet alone that different species can exist in different environments. So even if it's something that we can't survive in, it doesn't mean that some other kind of being can't. I 100% believe that there's other life out there, and I 100% believe that there's some kind of other intelligent life out there. Now, do I believe in like the bobbly headed gray aliens thing and all that? I don't know. I have no reference for that. But I 100% believe that there's got to be something out there. What is the scariest moment in a non-horror movie? I'd say the abduction scene in Fire in the Sky. That is a terrifying, terrifying scene. Also, really great acting in that movie. That's a movie that I think got robbed at the Oscars that year. Really phenomenal acting in that film. Scariest scene in a non-horror movie. Watcher in the Woods is one I mentioned earlier. I don't remember a particular scene. I just remember that movie really scared me as a kid. Non-horror movie. I remember the Black Cauldron scared me, but there's not a particular scene I can remember. The Wheelers in Return to Oz. They're these guys who have like wheels on their hands, and they work for this like sorceress witch who can remove her head. I remember the scene where they're chasing Dorothy really scared me. And my mom says I was terrified of the scene in Wizard of Oz where they land in Oz. Now I'm more sad that they crushed that poor witch who wasn't doing a dang thing. But according to my mom, I was afraid of the Munchkins, which when you look at it now, they do kind of look like Chucky dolls. Just saying. Martin says, I remember watching Deep Red and Phenomena for the first time when I had a really intense fever. Those movies are those movies would be really trippy to watch under the influence of being sick or like under any kind of drugs. I adore Phenomena. I adore that movie so much. I love Deep Red. That's one I've seen more recently, but Phenomena has this kind of almost like superhero quality to it with her ability to talk to the insects. I love that movie. Keep in mind what I said with the assistant score. You're gonna have to remind me. My mom says I'm not that old. I saw it in the 60s. Yeah, my mom was born in 1960. So she's not that old. Martin says, I love The Tall Man with all my heart and soul. I enjoy those movies, even Oblivion and Ravager. What I love about those movies is I feel like those movies have stayed very true to the spirit of telling a story. Even if they don't all work for you, I believe each of those movies wasn't trying to make money so much as they were just trying to tell a story. I believe they've stayed true to their universe for the most part. There's a couple places, namely Phantasm 2, which I do adore, but I don't like that. That was one that was probably the most soulless of the bunch because they did replace cast members and stuff and did it all in an effort to make money. But in that respect, I do think it worked because it is an entertaining movie. But just like the Chucky franchise, maybe one of the movies doesn't work for you, but you can't deny that they were trying to tell a story. And even if the chances and risks they took didn't work, they did it for the best reasons. It wasn't a cash grab. Flickster says, I made the mistake of watching The Strangers Part 1 for the first time while at home alone at 2 a.m. in the dark. That's the best time to watch a scary movie, my friend. Am I going to the new Haunted Mansion movie when it comes out? I still need to watch the Muppet Haunted Mansion movie. So I will, but I gotta admit, I am a little behind on stuff right now. Ariel, I can tell you right now, my mummy has never seen an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She doesn't watch that much TV anyway, but she's not super into like sitcom-y or comedy shows. Extron is scared of something coming out of the toilet. Now, I'm not going to assume Extron's gender here because I actually don't know. But, I'm afraid of it because I don't want my tushy getting all monsterfied. But I think if you're a dude and you have anything that's dangling in that toilet bowl, all the more reason to be afraid. Speaking of stuff, talking about our genitals, or genitalia, I am really afraid of strange things going up into my hoo-ha. Like, I'm freaked out by that. That movie, Baby Blood. French movie from 1990. This girl works in a circus, right? And she's something to do with the tigers or something. I don't exactly remember what. But in the beginning of the movie, this creepy alien thing goes right up her bajingo. And then she's like basically impregnated with it. And then she has to kill people to feed the baby, which isn't even a baby. It's an intelligent life form that she can communicate with in her head. And then they end up eventually becoming friends and even having kind of a romantic relationship. That movie is so bizarre. But yeah, I'm a little afraid of that. I'm also afraid of things bursting out of me. So since forever, I've been afraid. I've been a fan of Alien and Aliens. I even love Resurrection. I'm a fan of all of those movies. Not so much the prequels, but I love the Alien movies. So I remember when the Quadrilogy came out on DVD, this before Blu-ray, I bought that set. Well, I was pregnant at the time. So back to what Martin said about have you ever been sick and had that influenced you? Being pregnant isn't being sick. But when I was pregnant, I responded to movies in a completely different way because it affects your hormones, And I remember watching the original Alien, and I'm not somebody who cries easily during movies. Like, I might get a little emotional. I can feel that I'm being moved. My eyes might well up, but I don't cry, like bawl during movies. I'm bawling when the alien pops up because I realize that I'm pregnant. I have a creature inside of me, and eventually it's going to get bigger, and eventually it's going to need to come out. And I'm like, no, I don't want it to come out. No. Like, I'm freaking out. Also, when I was pregnant, the movie Cabin Fever scared the hell out of me, again, because I'm claustrophobic. So when they put the girl in the shed because she's sick and they want to quarantine her, I just start bawling. I'm like, how could they do that to her? She's sick. She needs her friends. The other time I cried when I was pregnant was watching the Scooby-Doo live action movie, totally different reasons. It's that part where they've got like all it's like a montage of them like doing the zip lines and they're working together. And I just remember thinking it was so beautiful. Like their friendship was so beautiful. So I started crying. I confess way too much stuff on this show. The Hills Have Eyes 2 remake. They did a porta potty scene. Ooh. I don't remember much about that movie. I saw it at the drive-in. I just remember I really didn't like it because I thought it was unnecessarily gross. But I should revisit it. I should give it a chance. Catterday Night says, I've been introducing a friend to the Phantasm films. Did part 1 with the last drive-in and part 3 a few weeks ago. On to part 4. I think they're really underrated. I do think Phantasm, the first one, is just such a unique experience because those movies feel like a nightmare, you know? And that's one of the ones where the ending doesn't really bother me, where you're like, is it a nightmare? Is it not? Is he just grieving? What's going on here? Because the Phantasm movies, they feel like a nightmare where you finish the movie and it didn't entirely make sense. And it's so gotten under your skin and it's so unnerving. But yeah, it totally, for me, captures that experience of a horrible dream. And bits and pieces of it just don't make sense and you don't remember it all. But it's so surreal in that respect. Do I have a favorite Ghostface kill? Mine was the one from Scream 2 where Sarah Michelle Gellar gets killed by Ghostface. My favorite Ghostface kill. I have to think about that one, to be honest. My favorite Ghostface kill. Off the top of my head, like, don't quote me on this. I'd have to think about it a lot more. I would probably say Olivia's because I think it was a really good misdirection where Kirby is like, I'm calling your bluff. You're not in my closet. And Ghostface says, I didn't say I was in your closet. And then they pop out of Olivia's closet and they can see her in the window. And then the scene is so, scary. They're powerless because they can't do anything to help her. And then the aftermath, like you see the intestines and everything. I think it's probably one of the goriest kills in the Scream franchise. And it's genuinely really scary and surprising. There was a toilet creature in the X-Files. Stephen, I don't remember the toilet creature, but I do remember that one guy who could manipulate his body to go through like really small spaces. The name is escaping me, but that guy freaked me out. Mr. Flixer says, if aliens wanted to contest us, they would, but they don't want to. I agree. They may not also know about us. We have this kind of arrogance in our society where we think, well, then why haven't we heard from aliens? They may not know that we exist. They may not care that we exist. Just because there's intelligent life out there doesn't mean it's more or less intelligent than us. It could be so far away. The universe is vast. I 100% think there's got to be something out there, and I don't think they necessarily give a crap about us. And yeah, Ben says they found amoeba that live off arsenic instead of oxygen. So oxygen is not needed for life. And yes, it's alien life. So thank you, Ben. Aliens are considered supernatural, right? Don't quote me on this, Extron, but if you're asking for my opinion, I would say aliens I would consider them paranormal because they are outside of what is considered to be normal. Whereas supernatural, it's like, I think paranormal, I think of as like aliens and stuff. I think exorcism falls into that for me. It's kind of like what's outside of what is considered our normality. Whereas supernatural, that's where I think of more like ghosts, monsters, urban legends and stuff. But, I'm not operating from anything official here. That's just my interpretation. The death of Mufasa is traumatic. Also, the death of Bambi's mom. 2 very traumatic deaths. And yeah, I agree, Extron. They're not human. Catterday Night, anything about water ship down. That is a terrifying one. Very good call there. You know what, Catterday? The other one that scared me was The Secret of Nim. You know what? I also have a beef with The Secret of Nim for another reason. So The Secret of Nim did scare the shit out of me. I was scared that they were going to get lawnmowered and her whole family was going to die. I was scared of the rats of Nim that she has to go to for the cure for her son. There's a lot of things in that movie that were really scary. But the movie also pissed me off. So I had this massive crush on my best friend in the 3rd grade, Mark. I adored this boy. and I adored his adorable mullet. But you know what? You guys know what? Mark Blatt had a massive, I just revealed his last name. It's okay. I don't think he watches the show. But he had a massive crush on Mrs. Frisbee from the Rats and Them. And I'm like, what? What's Mrs. Frisbee got that I don't got? But, I was super shy and, obviously never said anything about it. Plus, I had a crush on Donatello from Ninja Turtles. So as kids, we were all a little weird. But yeah, I totally remember my buddy thought Mrs. Frisbee was pretty fly. Martin says, the scene that always scared me was the faces melting in Raiders. That's a really good one. Oddly, Willy Wonka was my comfort movie after watching that. I didn't watch Willy Wonka until I was a lot older. And in some respects, being raised in the UK, I think a lot of mainstream movies in America were equally popular in the UK, but Willy Wonka wasn't one I remember really hearing about until I came to America. Now, that could be because it's a 70s movie. It could be just it wasn't as popular in the UK. But I did remember I was a big Roald Dahl fan. In fact, Roald Dahl came to my school. He had visited my school. I remember I saw pictures of it. I didn't meet him personally. But I did read the books, and I loved the books. And I think my favorite one was Matilda. I mean, obviously, because Matilda's like this badass little kid witch. So I adored Matilda, and I loved the BFG. And I love the witches, even though it's witchist. The end credits of Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren was pretty scary. Having Skeletor pop up and say, "I'll be right back" was scary. And then they would make another. And unfortunately, we never got another one. I think the puppetry in that one was really good. All right, let's check on our subscriber count. Guys, we're still at 1,912. If you love being in the gory hole, if you're having a good time, please share the stream, share the channel, help expand the gory hole. We need more people in here. Just more voices, more different perspectives. Martin says Phenomena is such a dreamy atmosphere. Definitely one of my favorites from Argento. And Martin, you know what about Phenomena? I love it because it feels like the true horror cousin of Labyrinth, because she is in Labyrinth too, Jennifer Connelly. But what I love about it is in so many of these Argento movies, so many of these Italian horror movies, they have these gorgeous like goblin scores, which of course are phenomenal. And I associate like goblins so much with Italian horror. But Phenomena is so unique in that it's got this metal soundtrack, which is totally unexpected, I think, for Italian horror. And that movie is just so unique, and it's got Donald Pleasance in it. It's such a gem. It's such a gem of a movie. Good night, Elisa, and happy Mother's Day. Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Oh, and to my mummy, too. Happy Mother's Day to all the mummies in the chat, and to all of you that have mummies, which is probably all of you. All right. Mohammed, nice to see you again. I remember seeing you over on Steven's channel. Super chat's off on here. I really appreciate that, Mohammed. Unfortunately, this channel is not monetized. I have enough subscribers. I don't have enough watch time. Last I checked, I have a little over 1,000, and you need 4,000 hours of watch time to be monetized. So I cannot get super chats. If you want to support the channel, share it. Watch the videos. I need that watch time. So if you want to watch my back catalog of videos, that would be awesome. Obviously, no pressure, but if you want to help the channel, that helps 100%. Also, I am over on Patreon. Our lowest Patreon thing in the B Movie Coven on Patreon is $1. So if you want to help out the channel, through some kind of monetization, watching the channels to help me get watching the videos to help me to get monetized, or joining my Patreon, it's Gory B Movie on Patreon, would be extremely helpful. I also am going to be adding more interaction and rewards and stuff to Patreon here soon. So hopefully, we'll be doing more. I think we're gonna do like a monthly Zoom call or something. I don't know. We're working on something. Phenomena has a terrific ending, Neon Black. Martin says, absolutely. I love that Ravager comes full circle in dealing with morality and losing control of your life by having Reggie struggle with dementia. Yeah, a lot of people were really mixed on that, but I feel like it was from a really good place, and it was true to the characters, and it made me think about a lot of stuff. The biggest curse of Ravager, obviously, is I think the budget, which sucks, but I can forgive a budget if I feel like a movie has passion behind it, if I feel like a movie is trying to tell a story, even if it doesn't completely connect with me, I will support it. You guys, if you watch my show, you know the only time I ever say a movie is trash is if I think it's soulless. If I think a movie only existed to get that dollar, it was made by money people, not creative people, I'm gonna hate it. You know, and so that's why I made this channel, because there are so many of these B movies, and maybe they got messed up in the process by the money people, by producers. But so many of these movies are overlooked or discounted. And so many of them are just people trying to tell a creative and fun story, and I think they deserve a second look. I think they deserve more appreciation. Zigma says, a scary in scuba. I found a headstone, then minutes later, something grabs my fin and pulls me down. This happened 2 more times before I canceled the dive. We later find out it was a seal playing with me. That's really cool. That's really cool. Scary horror moment in non-horror is Jurassic Park 3 when the truck is hanging over the cliff. They are on the windshield and it's cracking. I think that's actually Jurassic Park 2, but yes, that is a really scary moment in that movie. Catterday says, my cat, Mr. Quill, Quillinus minimus the fourth, states that it's time for me to head to sleep. Good night, Catterday. Yeah, normally I will say I do these at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I did it a little late today because I was kind of off to a late start. And normally they're not more than an hour, but I'm having fun hanging out with you guys. So, you know, I'll probably keep going for a little bit longer, but absolutely, you go to bed. You have a good night's rest. Mr. Flickster asks if I've seen Teeth. I have Teeth. I have it in my collection, and I love it. I think it's a great movie. And Morton says, oh, if you're not a dude and you still have something dangling down there. I just think having anything dangling potentially in the jaws of any creature is scary. I just don't want anything within reach of the jaws of something that might bite me. And Ariel says, oh my God, you're talking about the evil within, aka Baby's Blood. No, I'm talking about the movie Baby's Blood. I'm actually going to grab it for you. Dun, 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 dun. No. Here we go. Now, Ariel, I'm talking about this movie here, Baby Blood. It's a French movie from 1990, and this movie is really scary and really good. And often, when it comes to foreign films, I'm almost always at the stance of watch it in the original language so you can hear the original performances, and hear how the director intended it to be. However, this is one exception. I do think you should watch it in its original language. But the baby, the creature that's she's impregnated with, it sounds kind of like Beaker on the Muppets. It's like beep, 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 beep. It's weird. But the English dub has Gary Oldman as the baby's voice. And it's kind of sexy, it's kind of creepy, it's kind of cool, but his performance is so good. And I have to admit that that's usually the version I prefer to watch just because I love how good he is. And there are parts in this where they're definitely trying to play on this bizarre romance between the two of them. Like he pleases her sexually from within her as this thing that she's impregnated with. They have a bizarre relationship. And I feel like Gary Oldman's performance really brought that to life better than the original French film did. But you gotta watch the original French because, you know, our lead actress and all them, you want to hear their genuine performances. But don't discount the dubbed version when it comes to Baby Blood. Ugh, can only imagine watching Alien pregnant. Yeah, it's terrifying, Martin. I am not biologically capable of giving birth, but any kind of pregnancy horror terrifies me. Demon Seed in particular. You know, I haven't seen that one, Martin, but I should check it out. Ariel says, I remember going to see the live action Scooby-Doo in summer 2002. Yeah, I saw that too. And then Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed was the first movie that Law's ever watched all the way through on his own. And to this day, it's his favorite movie. So we love those movies. Catching up in the chat. The whole world of Phantasm operates on its own logic, and it means you can't predict or control the outcome of the situation. The Tommen is always one step ahead. 100%. He is like the epitome of the boogeyman. I mean, 100%. Eugene Toombs, thank you. That's the X-Files character I was trying to remember. Extron says, you ever had a weird dream where you think you're awake in your house and you go about your day and then you wake up and you yes, I have had that, where you wake up and you realize that you were still dreaming. You have a dream that's so real that you think you're awake. Honestly, the time that happens to me the most is I regularly experience sleep paralysis, and I haven't had the same sleep paralysis experience that I've heard about online. I've never experienced something sitting on my chest. I've never seen a man in a black hat. I've never seen an old hag person or a ghoul sitting on me. I've never had that experience. Usually what happens is I feel like I finally am able to move. I'm able to get up and leave the room, and then I realize I'm still stuck. I still haven't moved. And I'm usually more afraid because I can't move very much, and so I feel like I can't breathe and I panic. And sometimes I get audio hallucinations. Like I'll hear glass breaking, and I'll think someone's broken into my house, and I feel powerless because I can't move. And the scariest one ever was I heard glass breaking. I thought someone had broken into my house. At the time, I lived just alone with my son, who was very small. And I heard him screaming, and I'm struggling to move. I'm struggling to move. And in that case, I did end up seeing somebody who started cutting my arm. And then I finally was able to move. But often I don't see anything. Often I hear things that aren't really happening. But sleep paralysis is really, really scary. If I was Ghostface, how would I kill someone and who would I kill? That's a really, really tough call. I don't know how I would kill somebody and who I would kill. Who would I kill? Who's annoyed me? I'd kill Mrs. Loomis. I really didn't like her. I would be her ghost face. I guess I'd be Mickey, and I would betray her before she could betray me. What? You thought you were going to betray me? Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't, because I'm going to betray you first. And you know what I'm going to do? Because they're on that whole stage, and there's that whole Cassandra play, I'm going to use one of those kick-ass props and kill her Looney Tunes style. What? You didn't even see that coming, did you? Nah, I'm going to drop like a bag of sand on her head, and she's going to be like, poof. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after that. I think I got as far as the bag of sand and her being knocked out. Probably stab her or do something really fun and creative with the body. Maybe I'll dump it in the orchestra pit, cover it in like some kind of cement. So then she just like dies in there. And you like maybe she's alive in there for a really long time. And then when the play's going on, you hear screams, but you think it's sound effects, but it's not. It's Mrs. Loomis, and she's trapped in the orchestra pit. And eventually she's going to die of starvation. Okay, there's my answer. I hope that was a good one. I hope you're not too scared. Extron, Ghostface can kill someone with a gun. Big bang to someone in the head. We never seen Ghostface kill someone with a gun in a costume, so why not? Yeah, that's true. Right after watching The Fourth Kind, Kevin was afraid of an owl beating against his window. Yeah, sometimes things can happen in your environment. It definitely like play with the fear you're experiencing from having seen the movie. Sandy asks, would I ever stay in a haunted place overnight or participate in a paranormal haunted house case? Now, I did have a house that I firmly believe was haunted. A lot of things like door slamming would happen. We even had paranormal investigators come to our house, and they set up cameras. And the place where I felt the most activity was in my bedroom. I felt like there was somebody who would stand in the corner and watch me. And the camera that they placed in that corner in the bedroom, they had to go down there because it came off the dresser for no reason. And the guy went in there and he was like, I'm not going in that room again. And you would also see like random lights and stuff. That was pretty scary, but I mean, I think it's also exciting. I'm not, even though I had that experience, I still am open to the idea that there is a rational explanation, and I'm not 100% sold on it. But I mean, I guess I'm like 85% on like ghosts and stuff. But I do think it's fascinating. So yeah, I probably would stay in a haunted house overnight just because I'm very curious about it. Did I see the Witches reboot on HBO Max? I did. I like a lot about it. I like Chris Rock's character. I like the little boy. I love the relationship between him and his grandmother, and I think Octavia Spencer is incredible. I do not like what they did with the witches themselves. It paled in comparison to the original. But there were other things that they changed up that I thought were kind of good. So, I mean, I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. It's definitely worth checking out. But for me, the originals is where I would prefer to stay. Martin loves Matilda, badass, bookish kid, and girl straight up a witch. Come on. Extron, Ghostface should be wearing a bulletproof vest. You know, in part 3, Roman did wear a bulletproof vest because it's not safe for a killer to just kill someone without a bulletproof vest and just a knife. Yeah, that's what happens at the end of part 3. Roman's keeps getting up and Dewey keeps shooting him in the chest, and Sydney's like, the head, Dewey, the head. And he finally puts one between his eyes. Ghostface should, oh yeah, we already covered that one. The new Witches is rubbish. Yeah, it's not as good as the original, that's for sure. That's for sure. I think, what the frick? Zigma says Tiffany just moved? She did not, did she? She did not. I don't think she did. Zigma's messing with me. You have the same birthday as my mother, Gory. Your mother's birthday is May 17th. Hey, that reminds me, guys. So tomorrow's Mother's Day. I'm a mother. Happy Mother's Day to me and all the mothers in the Gory hole. And my birthday's coming up May 17th. I also share a birthday apparently with Robin's mother. I share a birthday with Trent Reznor, Bob Saget, Dennis Hopper, Enya, and Sugar Ray, the boxer. Probably some more people too. Bill Paxton. Share a birthday with him too. Thank you, Mummy. Happy Mother's Day to you. My mummy gets 2 Mother's Days because I wish her Happy Mother's Day on British Mother's Day, and then I celebrate with her on actual, like, American Mother's Day. Martin says, as you lived in the flesh of the blade. I absolutely love the Phenomena soundtrack and score. I've been wanting to do a cover of the main theme. Martin, that sounds incredible. That sounds really, really cool. I wish I could play guitar like Martin and so many of my friends. And, I have Lee, my friend who can play the drums. My son can play the drums, but we don't have a drum set. I can play things I can play. I can play the piano, kinda, like a little bit. And I can play the violin. But yeah, you can't really rock out to the violin that much. However, Martin, if you ever want to jam with a violinist, call me. Lion's Queen. Actually, Laws and I loved that show, Killer Camp. We loved that. It was so fun. I mean, obviously it has the reality show shortcomings of it. It seems very staged in places, but it gets very theatrical with the killings of the camp counselors, where it becomes like a genuine horror movie. And we really loved that. We thought that was super fun. To a degree, I think Dragula is similar. That one's a drag competition show, but when they do the kills, it becomes like an actual horror movie. So absolutely, if you haven't seen Dragula and you like Killer Camp, you gotta check that one out. Kevin says monetization rules suck. I'm right at 550 and that 4,000 seems so far away. Kevin, I will say, because I was struggling to even get 1,000 for a long time, streaming helps a ton. It helps a lot. I was struggling with 1,000. I think I'm at like 1,400. So it's still slow as balls, but the streaming does help. And actually, I really like streaming because I feel like we're all hanging out right now and we're talking about my favorite thing to talk about, horror movies. So it's really cool. It's a fun way to spend time with either, having a guest with other people on YouTube, strengthening that community, or just the people who are watching your videos. I mean, it's always nice to get a comment on a video, but it's another thing entirely to have something like this where we're having a conversation. I feel like we're all at, like, it feels like we're all together and we're just having these really fun conversations. And I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing your stories from your experiences with horror movies and growing up and stuff, because I get to know you guys and I remember you, and I know when I haven't seen you here before, either because you were lurking before or it's your first time here, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. And like I said, it's one of the best ways to get that watch time. So win-win if you ask me. What am I gonna do for Mother's Day? Yeah, I'm gonna go visit my mom tomorrow. My mother really wants a walnut coffee cake. Probably gonna make her that. And my mom says my fish and chips are the best. So probably gonna make her some fish and chips and watch movies with my brothers and my mom and spend some time with my little boy. So, well, my little boy's not that little. He's 17, but you guys know, he's little to me. Just like my YouTube son Martin is little to me and just so precious. Also, like, don't mess with my children. I adore Martin. Subscribe to his channel. I hope you guys are having fun. These things, like, I never know where they're gonna go. I never know what we're gonna talk about. Sometimes I go off on tangents and rants, but I hope you guys are having fun. Not just listening to my ramblings, but having fun talking to each other and making friends on here. I'm always one of those people where I'm like, you like horror movies? Did we just become best friends? Because I think we did. So this is super fun. This is actually one of my longer streams just because I'm having a lot of fun hanging out with you. It's already been 2 hours. So yeah. Ghostface says, hey, how's it going? It's going pretty good. I'm having a fun Saturday night with everybody. Nice to see you here, buddy. I see Ghostface a lot. And that's the thing. Like, I watch a lot of streams too. So a lot of times I'm in the chat on other people's streams, and that's how I've met some of you, like Ghostface Fanatic. So it's nice. It's really cool when you guys come over. I feel like you're coming over to my house now. Like, we've hung out at Craven's house, which was super fun. I love hanging out at Craven's house. He's one of my dear friends here on the YouTube sphere. But it's nice to see you guys come to my house too. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Was Dr. Dr. Strange Multiverse of Madness good? I've heard it's gory. I would check out my buddy Lee's spoiler-free review, but I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully I get to see it soon, but we'll see. Jamie, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Steven says he thinks expectations were a little too high. I have heard mixed reviews on it, but I'm excited that it sounds like it's got some cool horror movie elements to it. Whoa, my cat niece Tara is in front of the TV and watching me. Hi, Tara. Have I seen Baskin? That's my buddy Annie here in the chat, and she wants to know, have I seen Baskin? Annie, I have seen Baskin. That was one where I thought visually it was gorgeous. I love the concept of going into this like hole through the through these layers of hell. The movie didn't quite do it for me as much as I know it did for other people, because I remember that movie was really popular the year it came out. It was a little unnecessarily gross, I think, in places. But I do think it's very well made. It's just not one I would ever add to my collection, but I have seen it, and it is deeply disturbing. Meep, beep, beep, beep. Hello, son. Dun, dun, dun. Annie, I love you. By the way, it's been a while. I might have to have Annie on to do another one, because we did this over on Horror Addicts, which is a channel I used to be on. But it is important to me because I love horror so much, but I can only understand horror from my perspective, as the perspective of a female, of somebody who grew up in England and America, who's very westernized, as somebody who's pagan. So yeah, my perspective is not going to be the same as a lot of people, and there's a lot of people's perspectives I want to learn more about, and the only way I'm going to do that is by talking to them, by listening. Annie was gracious enough to come on Horror Addicts, and we talked about trans horror, and that's something I really wanted to know about and learn about, and it's something I still want to talk about more. So Annie and I might have to do another one of those here, because I want to do a series where I talk to people who have different experiences of horror from my own. I did one on black horror where I talked to my buddy Knight from the Night Watch Zone, and I talked to the horror miser Monty G, and it was really eye-opening for me because that's a completely different experience from mine, and I learned a lot, and it was enlightening. So Annie is another person I'd like to have on again. I want to talk more about trans horror. I want to talk about LGBTQ horror. I am pan, but I would love to talk with other members of the community. I have a friend who's a little person, and little people are a massive part of the horror genre, but so often they don't get the spotlight. And so I want to have my buddy Bob on and talk about little people horror. So definitely, if that's something that's exciting to you, we are going to be doing a lot more of it, because I think it's important. And yeah, I just something that I really want to do with this platform. Yeah, it does still hold up, Mummy. Tara is attacking my raven. Oh, that's Boris. Boris on the bottom there. Boris lets me know who's talking to me. Boris is my buddy. And I think Boris is a crow. I don't know. Someone told me that there was the difference in size, and I think they said that ravens are shinier. I don't know. I think Boris is a crow, but I could be wrong. Maybe Boris is a raven. I mean, I do have a puppet of Boris, and I think the tag on that one said it was a raven. My bird knowledge is flawed. What are my thoughts on Sam being a killer, and do you like the idea or are you against the idea? Now, Ghostway, I don't know if you saw my stream with Craven the other day where we ranked the killers. Here's my thought on Sam. So my thought on Sam is that the whole reason she was the main character of Scream 5 is to show us her perspective, because we learn in that movie that she has hallucinations where she sees her biological father, Billy Loomis. And we wouldn't have known that if the movie made Tara the main character. And I think that was the whole reason for Sam being the main character, to give us that information. I hope and I think it would be the best move for in Scream 6, Tara to be the main character. I think more often than not, people like that character more. She's more vulnerable. She's a character we're more attached to. She's easier to feel sympathy for. Because Sam is a great suspect. We know she's not quite right. She's on medication. She's having hallucinations. She genuinely enjoys killing. And so I think she'd be a fantastic suspect. So if we're from Tara's point of view in Scream 6, we're going to be like Sam. And like, you know, she's not going to want to suspect her sister, but I think we're going to be afraid for her if she's the main character. Like, yeah, I don't know about your sister here. She's dangerous. And then I think a great way they end the trilogy in Scream 7 is to have the sisters go against each other, because it would be so interesting to see these two people who love each other intensely have to fight. You know, if Sam becomes the killer, one of the ghost faces or the ghost face in part 7, we're going to have to see two characters that we've grown to care about face off. And I think that would be intensely interesting and entertaining. But let me know what you think of that. The writer of Scream 3, Aaron Kruger, I think his name is. I don't know. It's okay. I like Scream 3. I think Scream 3 is pretty underrated, actually. And I don't think he did that bad of a job. But I recognize it's not like the best one in the franchise. But I don't think there's a bad one in the franchise. Extron says, yes, I've heard many stories of sleep paralysis, but my experience wasn't like I heard. My experience was more so this one time I couldn't move and it was dark in my room and I saw this black fog moving in my room. Yeah, a lot of people try to equate sleep paralysis with like alien abduction and, you know, Men in Black and things, but a lot of people I've actually talked to who really have experienced sleep paralysis, and the odds are you have. I think most people do experience it at some point in their lives. I have it pretty reoccurring, but it's never been my experience. The scariest part of sleep paralysis is just that I can't move. And I know it's only probably less than a minute that I'm frozen like that, but it feels like so long. And because I'm so claustrophobic, that's to me is the scariest part. And then yeah, sometimes I have like those hallucinations where my son is in trouble and I can't get to him. But mostly it's just I can't move and it's scary. Did I like Witch Night on JBB? Okay, I did. I thought a lot of the stuff he was saying about where Purgishnog and the witch killing was a little witchist. He was also pretty dismissive of neo-pagans, as he called them, or Wiccans. And we've been keeping Beltane going for a long time. So, yeah, get woke, JBB, or Google that fucker. But I had a good time. I watched it with my buddy Tony, and we had a really good time, especially watching Death by Temptation. And I also watched Black Sunday with my son. He wasn't into it, but he got a Mystery Science Theater riff on it, and he was having a lot of fun with that. Even though I love that movie, it is easy to make fun of. So I had just had a lot of fun hanging out with my crew. Let's see what's going on in the chat. And also, if you guys are here, you know, a small percentage of you are chatting with me, but don't be shy. Don't be shy. In my experience, horror people are the most accepting and easiest people to talk to. So if you're watching, if you're lurking, if you think, I want to be a part of this, or I have something I want to say, that's what these horror hangouts are. I want your voice to be heard. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. Say hi. Just start with hi, and we'll go from there. Zigma says, you used to live in a haunted house and the ghost investigators came to visit. Yes, I did. And I would love to get that footage from them because that was a really interesting night. And it came because the house already had a bit of a legend. Was really old. It's from like 1921, I think. It was an old house. And someone had heard about the house and they asked us if they could investigate it. And there was a lot of legends about it too, like a woman who had lived in the house. And people said a lot of animals had gone missing and stuff when she lived there. And there was like this giant pit in our basement. It was like cinder blocks. And inside the cinder blocks was like a pool-sized area of just dirt. And it was creepy. It was genuinely creepy. But yeah, that house definitely had something supernatural, paranormal, otherworldly about it that I could never explain. And people would tell me that a lot. They'd come into the house and they'd just be like, I feel like something's not right about this house. But it was a cool house, I will say that. It had a lot of character. If you watch old Horror Addicts videos where we were live in the Horror Attic, that's the house I'm talking about. The house it had character. It was creepy. Robin says, I did some paranormal investigations of an old children's school that's now a community center. That's really cool. Ben says, I swear the last place I lived was haunted. One day I was awakened by the door slamming open, and then one weekend I was gone, and my roommate thought I was home because she heard laughing coming from the room. Yeah, and a lot of people can be pretty dismissive of that, but I've lived in a lot of places. I was an Air Force brat as a kid, moved around a lot, never experienced anything that I would consider haunted. In my adult life, I've lived in a lot of apartments. I've lived in a lot of houses, and to this day, there's only one place I've ever lived in that I would call haunted. Like I said, I'm pretty open-minded. If you gave me a list of evidence to explain all the strange things I saw with something that I could actually rationalize, I'm open to the idea. I'm not trying to sell you guys on like something that I can't 100% verify. But from my experience, there was a lot of things I couldn't explain that were really scary about that house. And what's really funny is I'm a witch. So it got to the point, like at one point, I feel like someone was choking me in my bedroom. There was a couple things that I just went a little too far for me. And so I did a cleansing on the house. And actually that pretty much took care of it. I don't remember any really bizarre incidents happening after that. But I did a cleansing, salt and water and sage and all that. I did a cleansing in the house and it was completely quiet afterwards. What made me really sad is I also felt, in addition to some, like one in particular, it felt like kind of malicious entity in the house. I feel like there was like these like childlike entities in the house. And I feel like they were harmless and they were gone too. And that made me a little sad. Because the house had character, and not just that the house had character, it felt like it had characters in it. So I don't know. This might be a little too far-fetched for a lot of you, but that house was different. It was weird. I live in a house now. 100% do not think that this house is haunted. So definitely not one of those people who thinks that everything is haunted. It's just that one particular house I lived in. If you want to watch old Horror Addicts videos, or the earliest videos there are in the house I'm talking about. Goodfellas or The Godfather? Random. That's a very good question. The Godfather I'm going to go with. I know it's a little long, but there are some parts in that are genuinely just shake you at your core. It's got great drama in it. It's a great story. Parts of it are genuinely pretty scary. It's so insanely quotable. I love Goodfellas too, but I'm going to go with The Godfather. Hey, and so I talked about my brother Zigma a lot. Zigma, there's three of us. Zigma is the one who's a year and a half younger than me, and I always call Devin my baby brother. He's 3 years younger than me, and he's here. That's so nice. And Devin is also the father of my absolute favorite nephew, Stormy, who I adore him so much because I asked him, what's your favorite animal? And he told me a xenomorph. Kid after my own heart. I adore my nephew, and that is his son. Ben says, my room at like 5 a.m. when she was getting ready for work, but I was at a hotel that weekend. Good night, Steven. Happy Mother's Day to your mother. That's a badass birthday lineup. It is indeed, Martin. Thanks, Jamie. Ghostface has to use a bulletproof vest more often in Scream 6. He can use one of on the whole movie and maybe a metallic bulletproof armor on his head. Maybe. I think one of the things I like about Scream is typically the Ghostfaces are either high school or college age. There are exceptions like Mrs. Loomis, but typically they're high school or college age. And yeah, they get their asses kicked. And yeah, they're not as worldly, maybe, except for like, Mrs. Loomis. But I don't know if they have access to some of that equipment, but it would be interesting. It's never too late to learn another instrument. I'm totally down to jam with a violinist. Yeah, I am happy to contribute the fiddle anytime, my dear friend. One can totally rock out to the violin. I listen to a lot of folk metal bands. You know what I wish I would have done instead of violin? I did violin because I took up orchestra when I was in the 4th grade. But I wish I would have done cello because now as an adult, I listen to tons of cello metal bands like Apocalyptica, and I think the cello is such a gorgeous instrument. I wish I would have learned the cello instead, but I do love violin. It is a really fun instrument to play. It's certainly more portable than the cello. Robin, it is not your first time here. You've been here many times. Flickster says The Descent is genuinely unnerving for the claustrophobic like me. That is one that is really unnerving. I think I've talked about a lot of the key movies that have scared me. I'm trying to think if there's any I've missed or I haven't talked to you guys about. I've kind of laid it all out for you guys today. I've talked to you guys about a lot of movies today. Another fear I have of mine that's a little bizarre is I am afraid of mirrors in the dark. Something about seeing your reflection in the dark I think is really unnerving. And I used to mess with myself, like look in the mirror and be convinced, like if you stare at your reflection long enough, especially in low light, your brain plays tricks on you and you start to think that your reflection is doing things that it's not doing. And it's really scary. And I've seen a lot of movies and TV shows where there's like a doppelganger in the mirror who does stuff that you're not doing. That whole concept really freaks me out. When I was a kid, there was a British TV show I remember watching where the doppelganger in the mirror actually came out and killed this boy's entire family. But to this day, I can't remember what show that is. So if you're familiar with like an Are You Afraid of the Dark style British children's show and you know what I'm talking about, please let me know because I've been trying to remember what that is for a really long time. Am I going to do live streaming on Friday the 13th? You know, I'm thinking about doing like a live stream because on this channel, I'm really dedicated to B movies, cheesy movies, forgotten and overlooked movies. Obviously, that doesn't include Friday the 13th. That's a massive mainstream movie. But I do like to talk about those movies. So maybe on Friday the 13th, I'll do a live stream just talking about Friday the 13th. Have a bit of trivia for you guys because you know I love to do my research. Talk about why we love the movie. And just hang out and talk about it. I think that's what I'm probably going to do. So let me know if that sounds fun to you guys. Denisha, how's it going? My mom loves The Descent, even though she's claustrophobic. Soon I will be in your house. I will. We're going to collab here soon. And our plan is we're going to rank our top 5 female villains in horror. And I just watched a movie last night that's a favorite of mine. And I was like, you know what? I'm adding that to the list. So I'm excited to share that with you. I will be watching The Last Drive-In on Friday the 13th. That's right. It is Friday. I might have to do something in the morning while I work. I don't know. I want to do something on Friday the 13th because it's Friday the 13th. So maybe I'll even do after The Last Drive-In like a really late night thing. I'm not sure. I want to do something though. Do I want to see Joel come back in Scream 6? Good question. I think Joel is a great person to come back. He was a really cool character because he did the smart thing. He left, but he's got a good enough character that he came back to help out Gail. I think he would be great to come back. I think it would be cool to have Angelina come back and get confirmation that she faked her death and was an accomplice of Roman's. I would love to see Stu come back because I'm on that Stu train. Stu. Other people I would like to come back. Bathroom Girl, because I love Nancy Ritter. I like the sorority girls played by the Noxzema girl, the killer from Urban Legend. I think she'd be fun to bring back. There's a lot. There's a lot that I would like to see come back. A lot. And absolutely Kirby. Kirby is probably my number one person I want to see come back because I adored that character, and it's already been established that she's still alive. That was a really fun stream, Annie. And, I've done streams a lot differently since then. Back when we did that stream, I did Ghouls Night Out. And kind of the theme is that is we would do like slumber party stuff. But, I think that topic and, kind of this new series I'm doing where I'm exploring different perspectives of horror, perspectives that are unlike my own, is important, that I just want to have like a real serious discussion. So, absolutely, Annie, if you're down for it, I would love, you and, maybe another friend in the trans horror community, like maybe Harley Bliss or someone, if she's down for it. Maybe, yeah, we could do another stream. That'd be fun. What do I think of horror games like Friday Nights at Freddy's? I am really afraid of jump scares, and they're a lot of fun to play, but they definitely get me. Jamie says she's good, too busy to watch anything lately. Looking forward to a break soon. Jamie, I hope you get one. I really hope you do. That sounds stressful, but I'm rooting for you. I hope you get a break and you get to just kick back with a movie here soon. I'm glad you're hanging out with me now. Hopefully that's helping a little bit. The one movie Ariel saw as a baby from the 70s was the baby from The Baby. Oh, the movie The Baby, where the adult man is raised as a baby. Yeah, that one's really trippy. Martin, absolutely. I think it was a really good stream. And that's, these are just really important topics. And so I really hope more people will check it out because my guests on that stream were incredible. Monty and Knight really, really did talk about some stuff and offer their perspective that I think more people should hear. I think it helps us as horror fans to understand horror better. Arkham says you should do one when it comes to horror, when it comes to the spectrum of autism. Actually, that's a really good one. Arkham, if you're down for that, I would love that. I actually have two cousins who have pretty severe autism, but they're not horror fans, so that's a really good one. I'm always open and excited to explore perspectives that are not like my own, and I don't have autism. So if you're down, let's do it. Let's do it. Message me on Twitter. Talking about queer horror. Yeah, Martin, I would love to do one of those with you. I think that would be really cool. Really, really cool. I think we should do it. So absolutely, let me know what perspectives you guys want to explore on these streams, because I love horror so much, but unfortunately horror doesn't always love everybody. And it doesn't always represent a lot of people very well. And yet so many of us still love it despite that. I think horror's actually been pretty great for women, but as a witch I will say, hey Big Sam, thanks for subscribing. As a witch I will say we still have a long ways to go for good representation there. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I think we're making progress, but I think we have room to go. So yeah, I really want to do my part to help get some more voices heard, because it's important to me, and I think it's important to the horror community. So let me know what you guys think. I think it's really fascinating, and those are conversations I really want to have. Zigma says Bob is awesome. It's nice to have a techie guy to chat with at the wedding. Yeah, he was at my wedding. He's one of my dearest friends. I adore Bob. Do I know your favorite YouTuber, Cody Leach, Alexander? I actually do. So I took a break from YouTube, so I'm kind of part of a different class now, but I did kind of start YouTube when I was on Horror Addicts in 2015. So I knew like a lot of people starting around that time, like Emma from Spooky Astronauts, Cody Leach, Lee from Drum Dums. A lot of those people I became friends with, Bloodbath and Beyond, Jay Bond. I became friends with them when they all had less than 5,000 subscribers. And we're still friends to this day, but it's kind of cool because I took like a break from YouTube. And then this year I've really started taking my channel seriously and working on it again. So now I'm kind of part of this other class of people like Knight and stuff who are starting now. And I think it's really cool and it's really exciting. But yeah, I love the horror community, and I think Cody's terrific. Fate, hey buddy, how's it going? Fate decided the best damn 3 seconds on YouTube. He says Gory popping in for the best 3 seconds I could give on dad duty, but I'll pop in again in a bit. Nothing like a good gory hole. Thanks, Fate. Much appreciated, buddy. Boris is a crow. Thank you, Jamie. Ravens have a blue sheen and reddish eyes. I dig bird watching. Thanks, Jamie. So Boris is indeed a crow, guys. We have it confirmed from Jamie herself. Catching up on the chat. Do I like woke commentary movies? You know, I think it all depends. I mean, I really it's important to me to expand my perspective, to be understanding of different voices. So yeah, a movie being quote unquote woke isn't going to put me off. If anything, I'm going to be interested. But you can have a great message. The crux is, one, you still need to have a great horror movie as well. A movie like Get Out is terrific because even if you didn't understand that it's woke, that it has a message, it's a terrific horror movie. It's terrific. You know, it works even if you went completely over your head that it's talking about liberal racism. It still works. Whereas a movie like the Black Christmas remake, not the early 2000s one, but the more recent one, it doesn't work. I mean, it's a great message. I mean, I think we all agree that we don't like to see violence on college campuses. You know, we all agree that that's a horrible thing. But this person who made the movie cared more about like kind of sitting on a soapbox and preaching a message and less about a horror movie. The horror movie didn't work. And really, the horror movie was incongruent to the message because the movie was about this black goo that made these college students do horrible things. So I guess in this movie's universe, they're innocent. I don't know. It didn't work. It wasn't a fun movie. It just didn't work, even though the message is good. I agree with the message. I did not like the movie, but there's a lot of quote unquote woke horror movies I think are amazing. Candyman the remake, Candyman the original, Us, I think is terrific. A lot of LGBTQ horror movies. There's a lot. There's a lot that are really, really good. I loved Slumber Party Massacre, the remake. I think it did everything that the Black Christmas remake wanted to do but failed at. So yeah, absolutely. I love woke horror. Bob says there's a ghoulie in my toilet. No, Bob, why? Extron says Sam is going to be a killer. Like, really? I have no idea. That's just what I would like to see happen. That's just like my own fan theory. Scream 3, I agree, Mr. Flixer. If you saw my spoiler-free review or my spoiler discussion on my channel, I think part of the problem with Scream 5 is there are too many characters and the new characters were not developed enough. I think it really relied on a lot of nostalgia and Easter eggs. But I want to be a fan of these new characters, and I hope that the next movie explores them more so that I can really love these characters like I love our legacy characters. Thanks, Ghostface! And Extron, that's 100% okay. We don't have to agree, and I would love to hear your ideas. Now you keep looking over my shoulder at Tiffany. You guys are freaking me out about Tiffany. This reminds me of watching Horror Gals videos where people would say that her Tiffany was moving. Ghostface, I definitely think she's going to have hallucinations about Billy now. I don't know if I'm all for her going to the full dark side, but would love to see something new. Yeah, I don't even think she needs to go full dark side. I just think it would be cool to at one point have her and Tara on opposing forces because I think it would just be really interesting. Martin wrote a story a while back about vampires with sleep paralysis. That's interesting. Kind of like when vampires go into torpor. Except they experience it from the perspective of the paralysis demon pressing down on someone else. That's interesting, Martin. I'd like to read that. Hey, Ariel, cheeseburgers are delicious. Maverick says, sorry, Gory, I'm editing a video right now, so kicking back and enjoying the show while I'm cracking this out. Keep at it. Maverick's channel is great, guys. 100% highly recommend checking him out. Oh, no. We're almost out of beverages. All right. Let me know, guys. This is one of my longest streams. We've already been going 2.5 hours. I don't know. If you want us to keep going, let me know. Maybe if we get another... Oh, we did get another subscriber. So we're definitely going to add at least 10 minutes to the stream. I'm going to call it good. I was going to call it good at 10:30. Since we got a subscriber, we're going to extend that to 10:40. So for every new subscriber we get, new subscribers, you can't unsubscribe and resubscribe. I'll extend it by 10 minutes. So right now I'm going to wrap it up at 10:40. But we're going to be wrapping it up here soon. Ghostface thinks she's going to have hallucinations, but she's not going to be the killer. I think that's entirely possible too. Extron has a theory of Tara being the killer because she survived. Oh, there are theories of Tara being the killer, but they disagree. Yeah, I haven't heard those. I'll have to look those up. Ben says incubuses are demons that sit on you while you sleep. No, that's the sitting on you while you sleep is like a sleep paralysis thing. Some people call it like a hag. Some people call it other names. Incubuses, especially if you watched Joe Bob last night, you might get a little more of an understanding of like incubuses. Because that movie's about a succubus. Incubi and succubi feed off of sexual energy. So they're like vampires, but with sexual energy. And so, yeah, they will, incubuses come to you when you're dreams a lot. So that might be, there might be some that do sit on you. I mean, because, you know, they do feed off of you. Like they'll give you like sexual dreams or do other kinds of things to get that sexual energy from you. But I know incubi are supposed to visit you in your dreams, and succubi are basically the female version of incubi. So there is a difference, but they definitely share similarities. Jamie says, I've never had sleep paralysis, but I know there was some kind of dark presence in my bedroom one night. I refused to open my eyes, acknowledge it, and told it to go away. It has no power here. Dude, you have no power over me. That's like Labyrinth. Good call. Good call, Jamie. And then it left. That's good. Extron says, I know for sure the supernatural is real. It's just like the horror movies go when you tell someone and people don't believe you. Yeah. It's one of those hard things that's hard to talk about with people because there's always going to be like the scullies, you know, the people who don't believe you, who don't want to hear it. And so I'm reluctant to really press that I'm 100% sure because I can't prove everything that I believe I've experienced. But I would say I'm like, I feel like I have experienced, like, you know, living in a haunted house. Ariel says, so yesterday I watched one episode of Fairly Odd Parents where Timmy and his family move to the town and drink the milk and they become Stepford. That sounds awesome. You know, it's a crazy kid show that had definite horror movie vibes to it. Invader Zim. Invader Zim was cool. Horror movies and beyond. Welcome. Great to see you here. Goodfellas is so good. It is so good. That was a really tough call. But I just went with Godfather just because I think it's I'm slightly more leaning towards that one. But Goodfellas is so good. I think, dang it. Ray Liotta is so good in that movie. One of Lion Queen's favorite game shows is Hellevator. You know, one of these days I want to talk to you guys about reality horror because there are so many good ones. Hellevator with the Soska sisters was so fun. And I really loved Scream Queens, which was hosted by the gal from Saw, Shawnee. God, I'm drawing a blank on her last name. But that one was really fun where you had to go through all these trials, and whoever won was a Scream, got to be the final girl, or not the final girl, got to appear in the next Saw movie. And it was really cool. Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in Goodfellas or Casino. Joe Pesci, I think his best performance of all time is Casino. Also, Casino goes extra props because it had Joe Bob Briggs in it. I do like Goodfellas better overall as a movie, but when it comes to Joe Pesci performances, he's incredible in Casino. And Robert De Niro? That's a really tough one. I probably wouldn't pick either of those as the best performance by Robert De Niro. Probably something like Raging Bull. I don't know. I would really have to think about it. Richie wasn't a teenager. No, he's not a teenager, but he is college age. At least I think so. Ghostface Fanatic wants Ghostface to have stab-proof and bulletproof robe. That's really smart. They need to get into some of that like Batman tech, you know, like make things like flame retardant and bulletproof and all of the things. And have like grappling hooks and stuff. Robert Pattinson could be a Ghostface. Let me know what you think of that. Hellbound, hey buddy, thanks. Great to hear. I love when I see some of you that I really admire and appreciate in the horror community, and I see you here in the gory hole with me. So thank you. It's great to see you. Scrolling down, catching up with that chat. I don't know how far behind I am, but I feel like I'm behind. Oh, Martin loves Apocalyptica too. Awesome. Gory. Have I ever watched the show Blood Drive on Sci-Fi? No, I haven't. I'd love to hear more about it though. Mirrors in the Dark are creepy. Yeah, I think probably the best mirror horror movie we've had is Oculus, which I think is so underrated. That movie is so good. The way it uses time and how it compares like the events of the past to what's happening right now, and it's tragic and it's creepy, and the mirror is so just terrifying, and even the short film that it's based on is really really disturbing. I think it's incredible. Horror movies and beyond, I have also seen the movie Mirrors. That's the one with Kiefer Sutherland in it, and I thought that movie was really creepy too. That one came out right before Oculus, and there's no relation between the two of them, but that movie is really really disturbing. Mirror scrying. Yeah, that I think all witches have a bunch of tools at their disposal. And they always, say that you need, as a witch, you need a form of divination. So some people might use mirror scrying or pendulums or tea leaves. I've always been a tarot girl myself. I don't know. This is a horror channel, so I've never brought that onto the show. But I don't know. Maybe we can do a tarot reading, like predicting like upcoming horror, like the success of movies we're excited about or something. I don't know. If you guys ever want to say tarot reading on the show, let me know. That's something I might do. But yeah, I'm a tarot girl myself. A bulletproof rubber. I think it sounds cool. Jason. Hey, Jason. It's really great to see you here. Jason says, Gory, you're awesome. Please do something for Friday the 13th. Jason, I 100% will. Like I said, it's just a matter of timing because I'm in Pacific Standard Time. I always joke I live in the past because my time zone is behind most of the other time zones in the United States. I think the only time zones that are behind me are like some of the ones in the East. But I definitely want to do something for Friday the 13th. It'll either be after Joe Bob, so maybe like 11 p.m. my time, Pacific Standard Time, or before Joe Bob, like maybe right after I get off work, which for me is 4 p.m. So stay tuned. Absolutely, you guys. I am so disorganized. So if you enjoy the content on this channel, you like hanging out with me, please ring the bell, set it to notifications, because some of these things I plan at the very last minute and I want to hang out with you. So it would be great to see you here again. I hope they all come back. Yeah, horror movies and beyond. I agree. Also, horror movies and beyond is another channel I really enjoy on here. Absolutely, a lot of really talented people in the chat here that I recommend checking out. Salt is strangely effective. It has similar. I had a similar experience to your own. I agree. Like when you do cleansings, you use elements of earth, air, water, and fire. So when I do a cleansing, I use sage and stuff too. When I do like, cleanse for like a representation of air, but I do sprinkle salt. I do sprinkle blessed water. I do go around with a candle. And use all the elements in my cleansings, and salt is highly effective, highly effective. And I put salt around the perimeter of my home as well. Lots of kitchen witchy stuff, if you will, that I do at my house. I don't really talk about a lot of the witch stuff I do in my actual practices, but that is definitely one of the ones I do. A couple other little hints. To make sure you always have a bit of money, put a bit of cinnamon in your wallet. When you're feeling down, I carry a rose quartz. That's something I recommend. I don't know. This might seem a little too superstitious-y to some of you, but I'm a real practicing witch, and these are things I do in my life. Lethal Collective brought you to me. Thank you. I adore the Lethal Collective. I call them the MCU of YouTube, and each of those guys is incredibly talented and some of the nicest guys on the platform. So I'm really glad that they led you to me. And I have so much fun in the chats of all of their streams. I mean, their audience is fantastic. So much fun to watch the streams. Yes, the stew train is on a roll. Can I get a stew? Also, Jason, I'm not supposed to say too much about it, but I will say Craven has invited me and a small group of others to plan something really special and unique on his channel. We're meeting every week and working really hard on it. So I'm really excited. but stay tuned on his channel because that's going to be coming out in about a month. Yeah, thanks for checking out the live stream. Silent Hill is a scary game to play. The atmosphere in Silent Hill is so dense and so creepy. Another one I like that I don't think is as popular as Silent Hill, but I actually like it a little bit more, is the Fatal Frame series. If you like those movies, or no movies, video games, there's so much going on, like in the background and stuff. Like you'll see, like if you pause it, there'll be ghostly apparitions on your screen. And sometimes like you'll look at a window and there'll be like a flash of something in the window and it will be gone. Like those games are really scary. I think they're really good. I love the second one probably the most, but I think 3 is really good. They're all really, really entertaining though. Extron says you might as well bring everyone from the Scream franchise back, dead or alive. Too many people, and personally, I'm not on the Stu train. I think Angelina would come back, or think Angelina would come back after so many. I love Stu, and I was so disappointed when he didn't come back in Scream 3 like was planned. And so I personally, as a fan, feel robbed of that. Even though I love Scream 3, I think it's a great Scooby-Doo iteration of the franchise. I feel robbed. I want to see Matthew Lillard come back. So that's just me. I know not everybody is on the Stu train. And mostly I want Stu and, like I said, Kirby. And Kirby is confirmed alive, so I see no reason not to bring her back. I think that would be incredible. Five Nights at Freddy's movie, Lion Queen, they have been talking about that for years. I think they are finally moving forward a little bit. I would recommend Willy's Wonderland. That's a really fun movie with Nicolas Cage in it that is very obviously inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's. There's a new one coming out with animatronics. It's not Five Nights at Freddy's. That I know is in development. Also, the Banana Splits movie. It wasn't as good as Willy's Wonderland in my opinion, but it was surprisingly enjoyable. Lion Queen has awesome system too. Yeah, I'm really glad you guys brought that one up because that's another perspective of horror. Like looking, because when we do these, not only do we look at it from the perspective of the fan, but we look at characters who represent these things in movies. So we would look at characters in horror movies that have autism. So yeah, I'm already thinking about that. I'm already excited to explore that a little bit more. All right, so it's 10:35. Have we gotten another subscriber? If not, we're going to call this at 10:40. All right, so we're going to be wrapping this up in about 5 minutes, unless we get another subscriber. So we'll see. Absolutely, if you guys can, if you want to help the channel, share on social media, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, all those places. Yeah, if you like the show, maybe your friends will too. And then they can be my friends, and then we can all be friends, and then we can all have horror hangouts. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I've been thinking about doing horror live streams again. Annie, I 100% think that you should. The Silent Hill game is fun, plus the roads are named authors. Yeah, I haven't played Silent Hill in a long time, but those were really good. Oh my goodness, guys, look. It's David Price. David Price is the director of Children of the Corn 2. David Price is also the co-producer of Leprechaun, and he made Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, who's the director of that, and he's been in a ton of movies too. Yay! I'm a huge fan of David Price, so I'm really, really, really excited. Also, David, I still really want to get you and Mark Jones on a stream. I ordered a cigar, by the way, just for this stream if it happens, but I have emailed you guys both. If you get a chance, I know you're super busy. Let's plan something. Anyway, David Price says, what are my thoughts on the Johnny Depp case? I think it's weird that it's so publicized because, I mean, it's being treated like entertainment and it's real people, so I feel bad for the people involved. I am more on the side of Johnny Depp in this just because his side has presented a lot more evidence. But yeah, the spectacle of it is a little it's a little unsettling, because those are, I think sometimes we forget that celebrities are human beings. They are real people. And I feel bad for the real people involved that this is still going on. And it seems just like there's a lot of pain there. I just hope it gets resolved and everybody can go about their lives. Yeah, Robin says he's not paying attention to the Johnny Depp case. Okay, Pingus Master 666 just subscribed. Woo woo! Thank you. So guys, look at that. I'm updating my very advanced system here of keeping track of things. We have 1,914 subscribers. So that means we're going to go to 1050. Every time we get a new subscriber, I will extend the stream by 10 minutes. So, all right, we're going to go to 1050. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Really hope you guys are having as much fun hanging out with me and each other as I am with you. I love these horror hangouts. They're a lot of fun. Gory, look behind you. What? Okay, is it the spider or is it the Tiffany doll? Which one's moving? Mr. Flexer isn't into the Purge franchise. I think the Purge franchise has some cool social commentary, and I do think it has some really cool ideas. There are definitely Purge movies I like more than other ones. I didn't really care for the last one that came out. First Purge was okay, but I actually really like the first Purge. I mean, the movie that's called The First Purge is actually like, I think it's like the fourth or fifth. But Purge Election was good. The second Purge that came out was good, and I like the first one. What if a butt demon came up from a sewer pipe? Probably, but butt demons usually come out of your butt. That is why they're butt demons. If you want to learn more about butt demons, I highly recommend that you watch the movie Bad Milo. It's fantastic. Martin has a narration of the story on his channel. I will check that out, Martin. Why are there no horror movies about pugs? Now, usually I think I'm pretty good at coming up with horror movies or just about anything, but I'm drawing a blank on pugs. If any of you guys in the chat know of a horror movie that features a scary pug, let me know so I can recommend it to Zigma. Where are you? It's 1 a.m. here. It is only 10:30 here, so it's not that late. But we're going to go until 10:50, and we'll get a little alert if we get any more subscribers. And then if we get another subscriber, maybe we'll go to 11. We'll see. Actually, we will. I've already promised you guys every new subscriber 10 more minutes. So we'll see. Candyman was so-called woke, says Sandy. They took a great gothic horror legend and turned it into a civil rights vigilante. I didn't need it. Candyman was always woke. The original story by Clive Barker was about the classism in England, and all Clive Barker did when he helped produce the movie from the 90s is they made it more relatable to an American audience by making it about race. And I don't think the remake was super woke. I think it had really good ideas in it. My biggest complaint about the remake is the ending is really rushed and it had some dodgy CGI. But I think it was really good. But that's just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own, and there's a lot of people who feel that way. Dun, dun, dun. Are there any good incubus, succubus movies out there? There are. I'm having trouble thinking of any off the top of my head, except for Death by Temptation. That's a great succubus movie. There in Beautiful Creatures, there's an incubus. And the movie Gothic, I think it has an incubus. But off the top of my head, probably the best one I can think of is Death by Temptation. My mummy says she had forgotten how scary mirrors was. Being trapped in a mirror alone would be terrifying. That is really scary. There's a theory, Ghostface Fanatic says, that about Sydney being the killer. I hate anything about Sydney being the killer or Sydney being killed. I think Sydney's story has been told, and I think if they kill her off, it negates her entire story. And I feel the same way if she's the killer. I just want them to let her live her life. Though I would make an exception. I've heard stories that they might Ghostface might kidnap one of her children in the next one. If that happens, I would see good reason to bring her back, but I would still rather focus on the new characters. Okay, we're switching to Dr. Pepper. All right, that's what we're doing. So yeah, and Ghostface Fanatic says it's the stupidest theory I've ever heard because she's the final girl, and that would be a spit in the face to the character. Yeah, we're on the same page about that, Ghostface Fanatic. Do I like Scary Movie? I do. I think it's a fun parody. The Scream Queen host was Shawnee Smith. Thank you. You guys are always really good at getting my back with remembering this stuff. Martin loves Invader Zim. Martin, do you remember the episode with the zits? Oh, so gross. Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, same sense of humor as Zim. I have to check that one out. MTV's Fear was really good and really fun. Glad you brought that one up, Ben. I don't know who Patterson is. Robert Patterson, he was in Twilight, and he recently was Batman or Bruce Wayne in the Batman. They didn't run away, they won money. No Battens. Mr. Flickster, you kill me. I don't think it would ever happen. It was more of a joke, but yeah. Yes to tarot readings. And Sandy, Oculus is fantastic. Martin loves tarot cards too. I've been getting more into doing readings myself. I have 2 decks. I have one deck that is my primary one I use. Wiccans, we always use some kind of divination before we do any kind of magic or spells, because it's very important that you don't upset the balance of things and you don't upset the will of other people. So you always do a tarot reading to kind of check yourself before you potentially spiritually wreck yourself. So I use the Witch's Tarot primarily, but for a fun deck, I have the Supernatural, like the TV show tarot. And there's a deck I really want to get, the Labyrinth Tarot. I think that's really fun. I wouldn't use those for like, serious stuff, but I think for fun, for things like a stream, that could be really, really fun. Like really cool. Big Sam, welcome. I have not seen you here before, so merry meet. Great to have you here. Big Sam says, I love the movie Seven, even though it's not a traditional horror movie. It definitely has horror elements in it that scare me. What do you think about the movie? I saw that movie in the theater when I was a teenager. It's really scary, and I think the new Batman movie owes a lot to that film. It is, I guess, more psychological thriller, but it's, I think, David Fincher's best movie, and it is really scary. The kills in that are really scary. And for me, the line between horror and psychological thriller is it thrilling or is it horrifying? And there are definitely some kills in that, especially the final one, that are horrifying. So I consider it to be a horror movie, and it's so well paced, it's so well crafted, and I think it's a masterpiece. Robin owns Blood Drive on Blu-ray. You know what? No, I don't own Blood Drive. I own Blood Diner. My bad. Mandy of the Living Dead, great to see you here. I had way too many dishes to clean. I'm so sorry. That sucks. This is why you need teenagers to do it for you. Though my teenager's not very good at it, so I end up having to do it myself anyway. That was terrible advice. Have I seen the movie based on Fatal Frame? No, I have not. I think I heard of one, but I thought it never had been released in the United States. Martin, message me on Twitter and tell me where to find this. It's actually... Martin loves it quite a bit. Very gothic, moody, and romantic. Martin, why don't we watch more movies together? We need to do like a watch party together. Just saying. Extron does not want Stu to come back. Don't tell my buddy Craven. You're going to break his heart. I actually talked to him about this the other day because we had like a couple kids at a slumber party night where he was on for the Killers ranking. And then we talked for like an hour, and then we went on his stream until like 2 in the morning. I think we hung out for 7 hours total. It was so much fun. It was just like being a kid again. But I did tell him, I was like, I love how passionate you are about Stu coming back, but I'm scared because if he doesn't come back, you're going to be heartbroken, and I don't want to see that. But he says he's prepared for it. But I really hope Stu comes back, if nothing else, because I don't want to see my friend destroyed. But I just also love Matthew Lillard, so I think it'd be a treat. Willy's Wonderland is art. See, Martin. Martin is my spiritual child. I adore you. Mandy, I recommend Mandy. Well, of course you recommend Mandy because you're Mandy of the Living Dead. Although although dope is the genuine article. I don't fully understand that. I might be reading it wrong, but I'm assuming you mean the movie. Oh, I think you're trying to say you like Mandy more than like Willy's Wonderland, right? I think that's what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. I like Willy's Wonderland more. Mandy didn't quite hit for me the same as it did everybody else, but I do think it is beautifully crafted. I need to watch some of Fate's and Jake's videos. I try to watch them a lot. Typically the times I watch YouTube, it's usually Craven or Night streaming. Because I watch a lot of YouTube while I'm working. I do code, so I can watch a stream in the background. But I watch a lot of Fate, and I watch a lot of Jake. I adore all of them. So I watch a lot of them, and I try to catch the Lethal Collective whenever I can. They don't think Kirby's coming back, and they bring up some pretty good points. The biggest point I've heard about Kirby not coming back is her husband is Ukrainian, and there's all the issues with the war in the Ukraine. However, she has recently been promoting a new movie here. So if she's working, then there's no reason she wouldn't come back for another Scream movie. And I know that is something she's passionate to contribute to again. So I'm still on the Kirby train, and I think she will come back. Can we get a Scooby-Doo Hocus Pocus crossover? I would be inclined to say that we have to a degree, because the Hex Girls are so incredible. The Hex Girls, Witch's Ghost is probably my favorite Scooby-Doo movie. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it has a lot of really good witchcraft and stuff in it. I also like Music of the Vampire because I'm a huge Hex Girls fan. But yeah, actually, the Sanderson sisters and Scooby-Doo I think would be really fun. David Price! I adore you. Hi. Come be on a stream with me. I bought a stogie. It's called Insidious, and I don't even really know much about stogies, but I will even watch a tutorial on how to properly smoke a stogie so I don't embarrass you and Mark Jones. It will be so fun. I promise. And also, I watched your movie, the one you talked about with the part 2. I think it was Son of Darkness is what it was called. I watched that, and it was really cool, and we need to talk about it. Anyhow, email me. I adore David Price. David Price, what are you doing here? Ariel, just don't question it. Don't question it. When David Price shows up in your chat, don't question it. You just got to roll with it and just appreciate it for the wonderment that it is. Also, David Price was cool enough to comment on my Leprechaun video. So did Mark Jones, which was really awesome. And Mark Holton, who plays Ozzy. Mark Holton's also really active on Instagram, by the way, and just a sweetheart. Am I a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean? I'm a fan of the first one. I don't really like any of the sequels. It's not really it's not my bag, baby. They got a little weird. I don't actually walk out of movies or stuff too often, but there was one that opened with like 1 billion baby Jack Sparrows, like duplicates. I think it was some kind of, I don't know. It wasn't very good. And we left the drive-in to go see what other movie was playing. But I do think the first one is really cool. I like that movie. David Price, how is Sean Young doing? She's Ariel's a big fan of Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, because that movie was awesome. Yes, that's a good question. Does the French bulldog count? No, it's not a pug. We need a pug. But thank you for bringing that one up. But yeah, we need a pug, and pugs are kind of having a moment right now. So I think we're long overdue for a pug horror icon. Yeah, Ariel's in the same time zone as me. Jennifer's Mr. Flickster. I could hug you. Yes, 100%. Jennifer's Body is a great succubus film. So what happens in that movie is this like satanic cult. They take what they think is a virgin and they sacrifice her so that they can get wealth and power for their band. But when you sacrifice a girl who's not actually a virgin, in the lore of this movie, she becomes a succubus, and she, uses her sexuality to feed off, other people. Mostly men in the movie, but she, as she puts it, goes both ways. But yeah, they feed off of sexual energy. I adore Jennifer's Body. I think it's a masterpiece. I'm so glad it's getting a renaissance because I've loved it since I saw it in the cinema. It's phenomenal. I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. So yeah, I recommend Jennifer's Body for a succubus film, and I recommend Death by Temptation. But absolutely, Jennifer's Body is one of my all-time favorites. What moment in a Disney movie scared me the most? Return to Oz, I think, is technically a Disney movie, so I'm going to stick with the Wheelers. Scary movie parody to parody. I would disagree because Scream, I would say, is more of a satire, and Scary Movie is a parody. So, but it is weird that it parodied a satire. Robin says The Devil's Nightmare is a succubus, and Hellbent. I need to watch that one still. I heard it's really good. Yeah, the zits are disgusting, Martin. There was a movie Nickelodeon had that had been banned. Yeah, Crybaby Lane. I still haven't seen that one, but I do have it because I found it on YouTube and I downloaded it in case it goes away. But yeah, I had Clarissa Explains It All, like, introduce it. I need to watch it. It sounds really good. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. I think you've inspired me to watch that tonight. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Catching up with the chat. The lust kill is horrifying in 7, 100%. Yes to a watch party. Yeah, Kevin. Did you see his look of total fear when I teased him that Stu was like my number 5? He looked like he was gonna start crying. I felt really bad, but it was super funny. But no, Stu was my number 2. Thank you, Martin. Big Sam wants to see a Silver Bullet remake. I think that could be actually really cool. I do think that movie holds up pretty well. So it's not one I need, but I'm a big fan of the werewolf subgenre. So yeah, I'm down for it. I would love to know who you would like to see in that movie, like casting ideas. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Mark is afraid you will divulge his darkest secrets. Now, more than ever, we have to do it. More than ever. If nothing else, if Mark doesn't want to do it, then you and I should do a stream. And we could talk about Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde, and we could talk about Children of the Corn 2, and then we could talk about Mark's darkest secrets. You're intrigued. You're intrigued. I can tell. I can see through the camera on the YouTube, and I can tell that you're intrigued. So we should make this happen. Aw, David Price doesn't speak with Sean Young anymore. Oh, hopefully she's great. Acid Brain, welcome. I have not seen you here, but good to see you. Welcome to the Gory Hole. Da, da, da. All right, I think I'm finally getting caught up. Alexander loves the movie It Follows. A lot of people think it's trash. I think it's a masterpiece. I think It Follows, like a lot of people simplify it and say it's about STDs. And I think it absolutely can be interpreted that way, but I feel like a lot of it is about trying to escape your past or like growing up too quickly. Like one of these days I should do a whole video because I there's a lot more to it than that. But yeah, I mean this idea of things from your past constantly following you that you can never really escape it, I think is really scary. And especially when it ties into like her dad and her family members and stuff. But yeah, I think that movie, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that movie can be interpreted in more ways than the obvious. And again, with any form of art, twist it around in your head and see how it connects with you instead of just maybe going with whatever's on the internet or an explained video, because I think that's going to be a lot more meaningful and powerful to you as an individual. Becky loves Jennifer's Bodies too. Jennifer's Body as well, and Happy Death Day. Yeah, she's got terrific taste in movies. I need to see The Devil's Nightmare. I should see that. David Press! Yay! Okay, let's check in on the time. Holy crap, we went past our time. Our time was 10:50. Let's see what time. Let's check our subscribers. Okay, so it is 5 minutes. You guys tricked me. 5 minutes past our time. We're still at 1,914 subscribers, which is pretty cool. We got 2 new subscribers today. That's awesome. On our road to 2K. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. These are just super fun streams. I love hanging out with you guys. I love hearing your experiences with horror movies and your takes on horror movies and interpretations. It's super cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing my ramblings. And I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you guys again next week. Typically, I'm going to try to do these every Saturday at either 7 or 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss them. And yeah, I might do something on Friday the 13th. So stay tuned for that. You can also always catch my updates on Twitter. I'm pretty active over there. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Great to see everyone. Martin, you're awesome. Thank you for watching. David Price was here. Alexander Armstrong, Lion Queen, Ariel. I can't list all of you. Oh, Adam Ward showed up. Hey, good to see you. But yeah, Mr. Flickster, super awesome hanging out with all you guys. Hope to see you guys again soon. I hope you have an incredible night. And until we meet again, blessed be.